Yeah. Bam. Like, interesting in what way? Kyle Kasperbauer, CrossFitter, dad, Christian.
What's up?
Hey.
Um, I don't know. Maybe it puts pressure on people or you, or if you make a mistake, you can't go back and edit it or anything like that.
So I didn't do any of the shows live, and when I started the podcast, Dave told me I was a fucking idiot for not doing all of the shows in person, and like I don't want like I- one, it would be crazy expensive, and two, like I don't want to do them live. I want to do them like totally on my terms, so that like I can go on with the rest of my day and play with my kids, or as Kyle Kasperbauer says, my why. That was a great post he
Sure.
made, and um, but he also called me a pussy for not doing it live. And I love being called a pussy. It makes me feel like that there's still hope for society. It lets me realize, you know what I mean? It's like, because it's such
Well,
like, there's so many people who'd be offended by that. I don't know if he uses that exact word, by the way. I don't mean to throw Dave under the bus, but he lets me know that it's a sissy move. And some people just should be called sissies. If you're doing a fucking podcast and you're not getting better every single day, then. So I think going live forces me to be better.
well, it also, you can appreciate someone calling you out for challenging you, right? That's a good friend.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
also, I
yeah.
think he was just being straight honest.
Yeah,
Um, well, and plus, maybe at the beginning, it was a lot of pressure because you're not used to it, right?
yeah, for sure.
But I'm
I mean,
sure
there's a
there's,
safety net of not going live, right?
right,
Like, like, like,
100%.
like you were saying, like I can go back and edit it. Oh, damn, Kyle schooled me on that. I'm cutting that part out of the podcast.
That won't be the case.
It's funny. I was on with there's this guy. I don't know if you know him. He's Hunter McIntyre. He got an invite. He's the only guy ever to get an invite to the games. He's the running
Hmm.
guy, kind of like
Who gave him the invite?
I Greg did.
Greg. Okay,
I
gotcha.
as I recall, Greg did.
Yeah.
I have a whole belief on that too. I think it would be cool. I think that would have been cool to do like in 2008 or 9.
Hmm.
But like by the time Hunter was invited, I think it was over. We'd already established that like basically if you didn't realize that the CrossFit Games really was testing the fittest, it did like I don't care how much shit you talked. Dude, enter the open and prove yourself. But anyway, so he got
Right.
invited and I just resented him for being invited, but I ended up having him on the show and I actually I more than like him. I might even love him a little bit. And
Okay.
so, at the end of the show, he started like just telling me about how so many that CrossFit has a steroid problem, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. And we got into it, but I'm kind of like, I kind of want to have him back on the show so he can school me. Like, okay, I'm open to being publicly schooled on that. I'm open. I'm even open to like deny it to a point of delusion. Like even if like he starts, I so don't want there to be a steroid problem in CrossFit that I'll be like, no, there is not, and he can hold up like he can show me a needle like hanging out of some athlete's ass. I'll be like, that's an accident. He just happened to sit on that.
That wasn't him. Somebody
Yeah.
else did that. Um, did he? Did you guys get into that very much?
No, no, but it was just at the end of the show, and then recently he went to Europe to compete in the World Championships of some fitness event that he does. It's
Yeah.
called High Rocks. I kind of resent them because they call it the World Series of CrossFit, but or the World Series of Fitness or something. But that's just me being a purist. I'm aware of that. You know what I mean? That's just like me wanting the whole kit and caboodle boodle to stay under CrossFit.
Hmm.
I'm like the dad who doesn't want their kid to grow up, I guess. But but he went over there, and while he was over there, I guess an article was released. There's an article released recently that Ricky Garard is coming back to CrossFit, or that not that he's necessarily coming back, but that his suspension is up for whatever he popped for. And but the article said Ricky Garard and 7 others, or Ricky Garard and 9 others, or whatever. And he's like, dude, 9 others? You know, he sends me the article. He's like, you say
Right.
there's not a steroid problem, and there's 9 others.
That's pretty good though. Nine others in what, 13, 14 years?
Well, these are just from 2017, and these are just
Oh
people who
shoot. Okay.
popped. Right,
Yeah, it's a little
right.
different.
I from where I stand, I've never seen any steroids. You've been a lifelong athlete. Have you ever known anyone who openly tells you about doing steroids? Who like is like, yeah, you should try it, or I do it and I like it,
Um,
or I I do
not
it
in
and don't tell
CrossFit.
anyone.
Not in
No.
CrossFit. I have in. I know a few individuals that have done it and admit to it, taking it in college, like college football.
Any of your clients just do it recreationally?
No, but I know members that are on test for, they're older,
Like you
over
just go to your doc,
45.
you go to your doctor and you say, "Hey, my penis
Uh-huh.
is only 98% as hard as it used to be."
For sure. No, I know individuals that are on test, but I don't for test for steroids. No.
God, it seems like it would be fun to do, but messing with your hormones just seems like a slippery slope. Like you don't want if that shit got out of whack, you'd be like a woman. Oh man, Sevan, did you just say that?
No, there's some pretty bad horror stories for sure, man. It wrecks you. It feels good at the beginning. I mean, there was a friend that I trained with in 2012 for the 2012 CrossFit Games. Good friend. Um, he knew an individual in college football that did a cycle of steroids, and it was amazing. He said it was an amazing drug. It was extremely addicting. He'd work out in the morning and go eat, and then work out again, and then go eat, and then work out again, and he still had energy. He slept like 3 or 4 hours, and did that for like a full 4 month cycle. And he said it was incredible. The results were unbelievable. However, the muscle started developing such a rampant pace. His tendons did not stay with it, and he ended up getting injured, and then injured again, and then injured again. And then as soon as he stopped it, the all that hard work just plummeted. And obviously he had real side effects too, increased acne, but then mood swings, the whole gambit of what goes with that. And now, even now, having trouble with, like, this is what, 20 years later that we're talking, or
Yeah.
or 10 years later. Because this individual, he was actually in college back in 2001 to 2007. And from that point now, he can barely squat. He can barely walk. He can barely put a barbell on his back.
Oh, because the damage from the super growth and the overtraining.
Correct. Yes, just from that one cycle.
Damn.
So,
In defense of women, can you imagine being a woman like my wife, and she grew 2 boys in her. Speaking of hormones,
dude,
it's nuts.
insane.
Look, I'm trying
Well,
to
there's
backpedal. I'm
there's
trying
been
to
a
backpedal, guys. I'm trying to take back that sexist remark I said. Not take it back. I still mean it. You guys are wackadoodle. I had what's her name? Shit, I'm so bad with names. She's a games athlete. She has a girlfriend. No, was it Alex Parker? Was it Alex and Miss Root? I can't remember. I had I had 2 girls on, 2 separate athletes on, and they both were lesbians. They both had girlfriends, but basically one of them said, "Hey, like every woman should have to date another woman for some time to know what it's like." Like she was like having some compassion for the dudes. I was like, "Oh, I like that. You're a good dude."
really.
Good morning, Colby. Good morning. The best thing about doing this live is people can make comments. Big fan of Kyle using his platform for such good. I love it. Jacqueline Robertson.
Nice.
Sorry, were you going to chime in on female
No,
hormones
I
and
was just going to
babies?
say how little I actually know as a whole about steroids, though. I mean, you start talking to individuals that either have experience with it or have taken it or know about it or sell it or whatever. Um, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn, but there's also stuff that I just don't even want to know. It's like, I mean, just that. Well, first of all, let's just stop right here and be like, okay, if we think that steroids isn't in CrossFit somewhere, and let's just not even talk steroids. Let's talk testosterone or human growth hormone or HGH, right?
Right, right.
It's in it somewhere at some degree in every sport. I mean, even you can go back with Lance Armstrong,
Right.
with blood doping. I mean, he was just evening the playing field. That's a completely different sport, a completely different time. Here, I've sent so much appreciation to Dave and the game support on how much they do test and testing athletes all year round, and just the
Do you
fact
get
that
tested as a master's athlete still?
I still get tested, or at least I get the emails. And then I've been randomly tested a few times. I'm like, dude, I've been in this for so long, and it's like, you guys won't leave me alone. I'm like, okay, well, I appreciate that, because if they're doing it for me, they're doing it for others too.
Right.
I value that as an athlete, that just appreciates clean, real dedication, commitment, hard work, suffering, sacrificing, dealing with a little bit of injury here and there, rehabbing, suffering again, having to take back the volume because of an injury, because that's what it is too. It's about the recovery and how fast you can get back, whether it's from training or from an injury. So.
And just so people know, if you don't know, insulin is also a hormone, and all hormones are extremely, extremely powerful, and you don't want them running around in your bloodstream unless they're supposed to be there. And that is one of the reasons why eating added sugar and refined carbohydrates is so fucking bad for you, because it jams up your bloodstream with a shitload of insulin. And especially now when people are concerned about being sick, you want your bloodstream to be just like a 6-lane freeway with no traffic in it. You want the T cells and NK cells and the white blood cells to be just flowing freely, kicking ass on every bad guy in there. And if you eat no shit, there's studies, if you just drink one Mountain Dew, or you were just to eat a teaspoon of sugar, you will fucking cause a traffic jam immediately. And if you're sick, that sickness can creep in. The second that any virus is like getting into a cell, it'll start replicating, and that could just be because you drank a Mountain Dew at the wrong time. It's no joke. I mean, I know people think, oh, a little bit in moderation is okay. Hey, man, but like a little bit of peanut butter in your brand new Honda Civic's gas tank is not okay. Like, just know, like you're just saying words. You're just convincing yourself of shit. That's not necessarily true. Fuck, you got one body. There's so many cool things to do in life. Do that shit. Don't put a little bit of gas tank in your body. It's not like I'm asking you
Sevan,
to inject
preach it.
heroin. It's not like I'm asking you to
Come
inject
on.
something in your little kid. I'm just asking you not to eat sugar. See the difference there?
Dude, oh my gosh. Speaking of little kids and eating sugar. Okay, so, all right. I fed
Just so
my
you guys know,
child.
real quick, I want to say one more thing. Real quick.
Go ahead.
For those of you who don't know who Kyle is, Kyle has been a staple in the CrossFit community forever. I went to Omaha. I don't know if it was 2007, 2008, 2009, but somewhere early. And I went there because I think his name
2009.
was 2009. There was a guy there named Ricky Frostow, and Joe Westerlin was there, and Libby DiBiase was there, and Stacy Tovar was there. I think there might have been one other lady.
No, I think that was it.
Just weren't
Maybe.
there 3 girls who trained? Who did I say? All 3? Libby,
Yeah.
Stacy. Was there one more young lady? Anyway, and I didn't know Kyle was there. And I remember going there and Kyle being there and training at that gym, and him having just some really, really, and granted, I hadn't been around a lot of athletes in my life at that point, but just having a lot of explosive power and just popping on the radar there. I think they were doing like some sort of workout that had some insane box jumps. And at that point, you were probably one of the best jumpers in the game in our community. So that's how we met. And he hasn't gone away, kind of like how I haven't gone away. I got fired.
Well,
Kyle no longer does the
it's
individual competition, but we're hanging on. We're like, hey, leave a door open and we'll fucking be there. Okay. So go on. So we were talking about sugar and kids. I apologize. Go ahead.
no,
And he just
that's
beat my
great.
boy James Hobart, which is disgusting. He beat
Solid.
my boy James
Solid.
Hobart at the CrossFit Games this year, being the fittest man in the 35 to 40-year-old division. And let me tell you something, Hobart wanted to win. That was no fucking joke.
Okay, I felt that, Sevan.
You did.
And he didn't realize, I don't, and maybe he will disagree, but it was, I felt after day one, like this kid, not he's even a kid, he's 35. He looks like he's a kid. He's still young. He
Yes.
looks like a baby, but we all say that about him. But anyway, it was a pleasure competing against him. It was a pleasure getting to know him better. Because I hadn't competed against him since 2014, and it was a larger
In
field
in
then.
individual, you completed
In
2014 or team?
individual,
Okay.
yes, in individual, and there was a larger field then than in masters. It's a small group, and it's a little bit more intimate back in the athletes area. But it was just a lot of fun and getting to know him a little bit more. Man, once the day two started for a competition this year, I just felt something change with him. And actually, I think it was after the snatch because you just started seeing this fire in his eyes. And then he started winning a couple on day two, and then day three, he's like finishing the competition. And either way, I had a ton of fun. I felt that he wanted to win it, and that's fun because when you have someone that wants to win it, or a couple guys that are wanting to win it and go for it, it makes everything a little bit more interesting. But
I'm paraphrasing, but he basically told me, and I don't remember when or where, but day one, I guess you guys knew the workouts. He basically told me day one's going to be tough for me, but dude, I'm coming back and I'm winning this thing. I go, really? And he goes, yeah, like I'm gonna fucking let the wheels fall off the bus. I'm fucking crushing it. But I know the
that's
first 2 days I'm
so
gonna have to
awesome.
dig out of a hole. Yeah, it is awesome, right?
That's awesome. That's good to see. I love seeing that fire in competitors, right? So
Yeah,
anyway,
especially someone
okay.
like him. He's so mild. Like he's so
Yes.
chilling. And I'm like, oh, you're going to the games? He goes, yeah. I go, you're going to work out? He goes, yeah. I'm like, you're going to win? He's like, yes, yes, I am. Yes, I am fucking going there to win. And
I
I'm
believe it.
like, and he's already. I can't remember if it's him, but other, people are already spinning the narrative. Well, Kyle can't win it this year. He's the oldest guy in that division. This is the year to beat Kyle. Just so you guys know how good Kyle really is, I was going through a bunch of old pictures of mine, and he stood on the podium in 2012. Have you stood on the podium any other years at the individual competition?
2012.
Yeah, and
Is it?
and we all know who won that year. It was Rich Froning. So this is a guy. We've had two or three problems in CrossFit: Rich Froning and Matt Fraser, and now Tia. And Kyle was one of those guys who was like an important supporting character to Rich's dream run. So this is the real deal, and he's still 40 and doing it. Are you the
Whoa, hey,
only
slow.
athlete?
Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm
30
not
what?
40 yet. Slow
Oh, yeah.
down.
What?
I'm not 40 yet.
That's like a week before my kid turns 6. My wife's like, "He's 6." I'm like, "No, he's not. He's 5." When do you turn
Well, in
40?
2012, I turned 40 next May.
Awesome.
So,
Okay.
but in 2012, it was Rich and then Matt Chan, and then I was blessed enough to be on for third place. That was the oldest podium. I think that's the oldest podium in the history of the CrossFit Games, because
Wow.
Chan was, I think, 33 or 34, which is ultra old to be on the podium, and that's how incredible. That's saying something about Matt, how incredible he was at that point in time, and how old he was at that time. Because I was 32, and then Rich was like 24 or 25, I think.
Crazy.
Um, but
Do you remember who took fourth that year?
uh, Panchek,
Oh shit. Poor Scotty.
I think it was
I,
Panchek. It was either Kalipa or Panchek. I think it was Panchek.
do you ever see Scott? Do you ever work out with him? Is he in your like circle?
Scott's a great guy. We don't see each other too much, other than when did the Reebok summits and then competing. But I've always got along with Scott. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I could see you guys being friends.
Yeah.
You guys are
Well,
both
I know
pretty.
that he's always had an extremely impressive back squat, and I've always admired that. That was always nice.
I thought you were
But
gonna say I've always known
no,
he's had a crush on me. I thought you were gonna say you've always known he's had a crush on you.
he has had a crush on me. I know it.
Are you the
No, yeah.
only athlete? Don't worry, I'm not going to forget to ask you about Kids and Sugar. Are you the only athlete to have gone to the CrossFit Games as a team's masters and individual?
So no, I think there's been a lot of people that. Well, I don't know
Have
actually. But either way, I know that I'm one of the few to do individual podium, team podium, and then masters podium.
yeah, crazy,
I don't know if there's another
crazy.
athlete's done that.
Would you ever
Which,
go
to be
team
honest,
again? Do you prefer
um,
individual masters?
would I go team again?
Yeah. Is team for the years you're injured? If we see you on team, does that mean you're injured?
No, because I actually got injured
On
in
the team?
on team in regionals in 2017. I got injured in team in 2017, but then it was my hamstring, and then I healed that up and went to masters. But I I wanted to make all of it and then make the decision, because as soon as I turned 35, I was going to do masters the whole way. Whether I qualify for individual, whether I qualify for team, whether it didn't matter, because um, there's a lot, like, people don't understand the commitment and the pure dedication and the sacrifice that it takes to be a CrossFit Games athlete. Even just making it to the games, but then there's so much of a difference between the dedication it takes to get 40th and the dedication it takes to win the games. And I don't know about you, but I don't go to things just to lose or to participate. And I think that's what's changed a lot these days, is the mentality of, oh, I made the games, I'm good. I'll probably get a sponsorship or something like that, cool. And then I'll see if I can do it pretty well, and then that's it, and I'm happy. Whereas I think that's changed over the years, from like 2012 or 13 or even 14. Like, now there's like a real career with sponsorships, there's support, there's to be a CrossFit Games athlete, but to be a CrossFit Games winner. And that's what a lot more people are going for, I think. Now, the fact, even now that, Frazier stepped out, I think there was more athletes even this year, especially that transition to where, okay, we didn't know who was going to win. And every year, no one really knows who they're going to win. Like, as an athlete, you don't really know who's going to win. You just know that you're going to give everything that you have, and regardless, just figure it out. Because every year that I competed against Rich Froning, I truly believe that I could win. And there were
The fans know who's going to win, though. The fans
absolutely know. Hey, there's a favorite for a reason.
But the athletes don't know. Is that what you're saying?
No, and they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be if they do know that someone else is going to win. They shouldn't. Right. That's the same. Like, I mean, Tom Brady is one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks of all time, and he's still putting up these insane numbers at age 44. He wants to win one more Super Bowl. The fans see it. The commentators see it. Las Vegas sees it. Now, I don't know if he's going to win or not because of his age. That's always a question. There's such a team thing involved in that versus just an individual athlete in CrossFit. But, yeah. So
are you saying? I thought you were going to say that people aren't as dedicated now, but you're saying people are more dedicated now.
No,
are you saying
because
the top
it requires
40?
more. Yeah, it requires more. It's.
Were you just eating COVID? Did you just see some COVID running by on your table and you just?
Well, the best way.
Did you just kill some COVID? I mean, that's what I do in my house. If I see COVID in my house, or 2 virus, I got to protect my kids. I just squish it with my finger, like on my screen here, and then.
Hey, the best immune system's the most exposed immune system, brother.
Yeah, I just okay, go on. That was really cool. I mean, you are a true father and alpha male the way you did that. Go on.
Hey, so anyway,
dedication.
Yeah, no, it's just I feel that it's a whole different level these days, an individual, and my hats are off to them, to every single athlete, because there's so much sacrifice that takes place, and people forget that. People that aren't involved.
What's another word you could use besides sacrifice? Why do you use that word? What the fuck does that word mean? I hate that word.
It's an easy word to use for it because it's so. I feel like it's so obvious because of the sacrifice that I could be doing other things. I wouldn't want to do other things.
Right.
But I could be doing so many other things, and plus, you're talking now. It goes down the line. If you are married, your wife is also sacrificing.
Yeah, she might be sacrificing. Yeah, she might be sacrificing. The act of offering something to a deity in. I hate reading live. Remember how you said live shows? Because it just shows how stupid I am. The act of offering something to a deity in propitiation?
Proprietary?
No, propitation. I don't even know what that word is. I'm going to skip that word. The act of offering something to a deity or homage, especially the ritual slaughter of an animal or person. The second definition is a victim offered in this way. The third definition, the act of giving something highly valuable for the sake of something else, considered to have a greater value or claim. So you're saying you sacrifice. See, and that makes the word pointless right there, right? So it's saying the act of giving something highly valued for the sake of something considered to have greater value. Well, then it ain't a sacrifice, right?
Right. Right. Exactly.
So that word's a contradiction. Anyway, okay. And the reason why I'm defensive about it is when people say, "Oh, I sacrifice so much for my kids," I want to be like, "Yo, eat a dick. You shouldn't be sacrificing shit for your kids. This is your honor to raise another human being. You're like
Yes.
you are like I wake up like I can't like it's like it's so sacrifice. You know when you stay up late when you're a kid and your eyes are burning, but you stay up extra late so you can watch that horror movie at 11 o'clock, at 12 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like you do something like that. It's like the Scooby Doo Halloween special, and you stay. Your
Yeah.
eyes are, and you watch. You're not sacrificing. I'm never like, oh my god, I'm so exhausted. I'm sacrificing to go do this with my kids. I mean, there's times where I'm like, oh my god, I'm so exhausted. How am I going to make this? But I'm never like, what a sacrifice. I'm always like, holy shit, I am stoked. I have 3 little kids. They're mine. You know, like
Well, and that's dangerous, man. Like dangerous in a really good way, Savon. Because at that point, then it's like, okay, one of the easiest things to do is just be grateful for what you have. Just a sense of gratitude, no
yes.
matter how crappy your situation is. Because I've been in really crappy situations.
Well, it's
Just
easy for me. I'm not in a crappy situation, so
oh,
maybe I'm talking a
maybe,
big.
but it's all perspective, right? But it's just like just being that sense of gratitude is just put you at a whole different level than the person that has the same situation as you, but you're just that much more dangerous in regards to just more powerful.
Yeah.
Just gratitude.
Well,
But anyway,
you posted a picture on your Instagram. We'll come back to that. Okay, let's go back. So working hard, sacrificing. The athletes have to give more these days. And then I want you to give me an example of what is something. Can you give me like a real example of something that like the difference between the guys at the top and the guys not at the bottom? Like, do the guys at the top always go to bed at 9 o'clock and they make no excuse to stay up till 10? Like, what are some things that fall into that sacrifice bucket? Like, you don't go to
um,
your parents' birthday party. If it's a 3 days travel there and 3 days travel back, you stay home. Like, what are the things?
yeah, I think you hit that right there. But all the extracurricular stuff that is like that of a normal life. You can't have that normal life at the top tier of a CrossFit Games athlete. They've got a coach. They're doing camera work. They've got another coach. They've got someone either planning out their macros or their meals, or they're just staying consistent on a daily basis every single day, all year long for 5 years. Same thing over and over and over. Why do you think that Matt Frazier retired? Because he was so insanely dedicated. Rich Froning, same thing. He could have gone more years as an individual. We all know that. It's just the fact that it was to the point to where it was probably causing some sort of strain. And I don't know if I was in his position, and I've experienced it myself. The amount of dedication I put towards CrossFit was putting a crutch or a gap in between my wife and I's marriage.
Oh, for
And it was
sure, right?
affecting us, right? Because where I'm not, I'm somewhere else. And when I'm somewhere else, I'm not with my wife, or I'm not
This
serving her the right way
podcast is
because,
affecting my marriage.
yeah. Well, in a good way, right? Maybe, I don't know.
Both. But yeah, I see what you mean. You can't indulge in your own insecurities, and you sure as fuck don't have time to indulge in other people's insecurities when you're dedicated to something. It's funny. I was been interviewing a lot of UFC fighters, and they're young. They're in their 20s, and I remember being in relationships in my 20s where the 80% of the relationship was insecurities. Are you cheating on me? Why were you looking at that girl? How come you didn't call me today? And I think today it's a million times worse. The shit that I hear young people talking about in relationships, it's like, holy fuck, they are so indulgent in insecurities because of social media, because of all the fucking high level of communications going on. It's gross, actually. I feel so sorry for them. There's a level of like needing to take your relationship for granted, but there are times where you do need to like help someone work through their insecurities.
Mhm.
But like if you're a pro athlete, like I can't imagine being a fighter and getting ready to fucking fight for your life in a cage, and your girlfriend's like, "So are you still talking to that girl?" Like, do you know what I mean? Like all that shit has to go away. I'm guessing.
Yeah, you got to have a rock star wife or a rock star partner. You got
Right.
to have that person that's going to go in the
Who?
battle with you. That's what I mean. That's something that I got to give a shout out to my wife Maisie. She's been incredible. She's been a rock star, hardcore warrior in this battle of having a child when I started CrossFit when I was in 2009. I was 27, 28, I think. And then I didn't get serious with it until 2012. Like I fully dedicated a year before 2012 because I saw these individual athletes having fun, and I went team. So I went individual in 2009, and then team 2010. That's when we podiumed, and then team again in 2011. And the only reason was that because it was inconsistent training, inconsistent nutrition, thinking I could just come in and do it and qualify and it'd be fine, or stay healthy, where I wasn't being consistent with my training. So I got hurt and then went team. But then in 2011, like we fully committed, and that's when we had our first child. So then
2011, you saying?
2011. So the life of my daughter, that's all she's been exposed to was competing in CrossFit, and even now to this day. But there's such a dichotomy or an other side of the coin to this, because the fact is that she is now seeing me. She's seen me compete. She's seen what it takes to do well in a sport. She's seen the suffering that it took, the pressure of competing. She was in the stands this last year, and it was the most incredible thing. And every year, but this year specifically, because now she's on a select soccer team, and she's in a position where she's fighting for a starting spot. And it's like, if you want that starting spot, you got to put that work in it. It's not just a parent talking about it. She's seen what it takes. She's watched me work out a little, and then she's watched me compete, and the pressure that it takes. And she was a little nervous during a few of the first games, but she related that to the pressure of me competing and the way that she felt pressure when she was in the stand. So all that kind of circles around. And but my wife, she's been a rock star in this entire process, because she's sacrificed time with her husband and building on a marriage versus the foundation we built before CrossFit, which wasn't a lot because we met right before I started. And then we've had to figure it out throughout the entire process. It's just been wild. So if you don't have that rockstar partner in life, it's a means to an end, right? And that wouldn't you want that anyways? For any battle, whether it's a career and a job, or whether it's in losing a house, or what happens if someone loses a job and loses the house, and you got to deal with that adversity, right? You want to have someone that's going to be strong in battle with you. So,
and to enjoy things with you. I always trip on the fact, one of the saddest things about parents who get a divorce is no one thinks your kids are cute except you. So that's the coolest thing about having a wife. So like when your kid yawns, you're like, oh my God, he's so cute. But if you get a divorce, or you don't have that, that would suck to not be able to share those moments with. It's like, did you ever have any pets with your wife before you guys got married?
Yeah, we had 2 dogs.
And you guys thought they were right?
Oh yeah, unbelievable. One was like a 3-pound Maltipoo, and the other one was a Siberian Husky.
Yeah,
I didn't have a Maltipoo.
It's literally practice for having kids, and you'll see how the two of you will interact. Did you feed him? No, you overfed him. Like all of those like nuances and like little fights you have over the dogs, or did you bathe him, or he's been outside too long. Like that, those are your kids. But then of course you have kids and the dog. Like I think within 2 years of having kids, our dog was hit by a car. He didn't die, but it was literally because like we used to baby the dog and neglect him, and now it was like you just opened the car door and he just ran out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As opposed before you had kids, you carried him into the house.
Right. Don't get his paws wet, or he's cold. Put a jacket on him. It's like, what is happening right now? No, I used to train with my dog. That's why I got a Siberian, is so I could run with it. And I was training for games with him. And then after when he grew up and he was faster than me, and it wasn't even a contest. I was basically sprinting and he was jogging, and he was like warming up for him. So then I'd have to ride my bike with him, and we'd go for miles and miles and miles. And
do you still have that dog?
No, he passed away a couple years ago. Thanks for bringing that up. It's a sore wound. So
yeah.
No,
at least you had kids. It's much worse when your dog dies and you don't have kids.
Right. Oh my gosh, I could not believe how much that dog pulled on my heart when he died. I grew up on a farm, so all the animals and the dogs on the farm were utility animals. They were they didn't mean a lot to me. They were part of the farm, right? They were a utility. But then this dog, I picked him out myself, ran with him, named him, took care of him, just hung out with him as a real pet. And I was like, oh, it'll be fine if just preparing myself. If I ever lose him, it'll be fine. It's just another pet. Or if he ends up dying, just preparing for that. It'll be another pet. And then just out of nowhere, he dies. He had some heart issue just in like a day and a half, just like bam, gone.
Where
And
was
it
he? He was in
ripped.
your house?
He was in the backyard and he started coughing. And then I was like, I'll just take him for a little walk. With him, it wasn't a walk, it was a run. And he walked out of the gate of the backyard. And I've never seen him walk out of the backyard gate. He would sprint out. And I was like, okay, well, that's weird. So I took him out for a little walk and then I was like, something's not right. So we took him to the vet and we had to put him down like an hour later, and it literally ripped my heart out of my chest. I never knew that an animal could attach itself so well, and now I know. And then I'm like, okay, well, that's going to be like times 10 for a child. So
Oh, that can't happen.
that won't happen, right?
No, that can't happen.
Yeah.
That can't happen. Were you there when they put your dog down?
Yeah, I was holding him. It was insane. It was a whole different level, man.
So,
Awful.
I've had 3 Great Danes, and they all 3 towards the end there had to be put down. And the first one was like terrifying for me. I'd never done anything like that. But as I walked out of that office, I felt this like sense of accomplishment that I didn't expect at all. First of all, I started saying shit to the dog. I couldn't believe that was coming out of my mouth. I was talking to the dog like I was losing a loved one. Like I'm not a big God guy at all. I'm not a religious guy, but I started like words started coming out of my mouth like I'm gonna see the dog in the afterlife. I'm like, who the fuck is this talking? Like, right? Like, it was weird. And but
Well,
it's so important to be there, I think, for your dog. Like if anyone who ever has to put their dog down, don't let them take the dog in the back room and do it. You have to be holding your dog. Suck it
yeah,
fucking the fuck up and be there.
right.
Like it sucks, but you will be. It's okay. You make it through it. You actually are better. I'm a better person for being there and holding my dog and crying with my dog and like being supportive. I actually tried like not to cry until like after, right? I'm trying to be strong for the dog so he feels like safe and cool, and then
Hmm.
but I know people who've done that, like just let their dog go in the back. I would never leave my dog with a vet, period. Like if they're like, hey, we need to squeeze his fucking prostate or whatever and squeeze the shit out of it or whatever, I'll be like, okay, do it right here. They're like, oh, it smells really bad. I'm like, no, I'm cool. I want like
Yeah,
just like I wouldn't let them take my kid in the back. Like, nah, I'm good. Whatever you're gonna do to him. If
right.
I faint, I'll just faint here in the corner. Don't worry about me.
Just another piece of responsibility,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
If you're gonna take the dog, be ready for all of it. If you're gonna have a kid, be ready for all of it, the good, the bad,
This
the
is kind of a
challenges.
crazy story. When I was in college, I had a Great Dane, and when I was there was a point became where basically lost everything. My parents didn't want to pay for my college anymore, and I became homeless. And I was homeless for 2 years. And the only thing I kept, I got rid of everything I owned so that I could. I mean, I was fucking homeless, but I kept my dog. And my dog was my number one priority. I had taken, like, he was my responsibility. He was a big ass Great Dane. Where we were going to sleep, which backyard we were going to sleep in, which tree, which dumpster we were going to go to in the morning to get food out of. The dog had to fucking be taken care of. He was my responsibility. Like, and it, through those years that I was living in Isla Vista, California, I made a list of every single person who I knew who had a dog, because like a lot of my friends had dogs, college kids, other homeless people. And I made a list of like 140 people or 147 people, I can't remember, who had dogs. And there were only 3 of us who got our dog out of that 140 who got our dogs and then put our dogs down, or our dogs died in our possession. All the others, they either gave away, they got lost, they got hit by a car. Like there was some sort of neglect. Like the dog, they treated the dog like what I would call like a fucking purse, right? Like, oh, it was stolen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like on the 4th of July, close the fucking gate to your backyard. You know dogs run away. On the 4th of July, if you're a fucking dog owner, you need to sit with your dog.
Yeah.
And going back to what you're saying, sacrifice. You don't just leave them out in the backyard and go with your family somewhere or your friends to get drunk and listen to fireworks. Fireworks fuck dogs up. That's sorry. You got the dog. Like deal with that shit. Anyway, it was crazy how many people don't respect don't respect that relationship with their dog.
Yeah. You ever
Responsibility.
had cats?
No, I've really wanted cats, but that would be fucking hard because I think that they should be outside. But man, it would suck to come home and like he's hit by a car. That would
Yeah.
suck. Have you had
We had a
cats?
farm. We had a farm cat. That's about it,
Was he
man. They were
dope?
nuts, dude. Just like broken tail, one eye,
Yes.
clipped ear.
Oh, like the feral thing?
Oh
Like
my
what they
gosh, just insane though, man. That cat kept that farm intact. It was like mice, everything, birds. They are actually. I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that the house cat is the most efficient hunter on the planet because they get
I mean,
like to
they're all
catch.
my neighbors' cats are always hunting in my yard. I have a huge gopher
Right.
problem.
Yeah, it's like one in every 3 attempts. They're catching something, whether it's like a bug or a cricket or a bird or a mouse or like literally insane. And then you declaw them and they can still catch things. It's like you take away their primary hunting tool and they can still do it. So it's like pawing them to death. But
Would you
anyway,
ever declaw a cat?
no, man, I don't
Yeah, me
know. The people
neither.
that, yeah, I don't know. I'm just not that, I'm not that guy. I don't even,
No,
I don't, I get it. I get flack for it all the time, but I do not take the balls from the men of the dogs.
no, no. I don't think you should do that either. I
Just
didn't
leave
do that
it.
to
Let
my
it go.
dogs either. Yeah,
But
they're not your
anyway.
balls. They're not your balls. Okay, so
So
kids and sugar. You were gonna tell a story. Okay, go ahead. You choose.
yeah,
I
the
won't
kids
forget
and
the kids and
sugar,
sugar.
man.
Yeah.
The kids and sugar. So and look, I'll provide some dessert for my kids every once in a while, right? I gave my child a cupcake, right? And we'll do that stuff. We'll go out for ice cream. We'll live a little bit. We'll have fun. But there's things that we use that as it's not necessarily a reward. It's just about enjoying life a little bit, right? But anyway, so this one time
Is it wrong to use it as a reward? Because I use it as a reward.
no, I don't think no. I mean, you can do whatever you want with your kids, dude.
Okay.
Some people don't like to use dessert or sweets as a reward. It's more of like items that like items like toys or something like that, where it doesn't encourage them. Like if they do well, they need to go and have dessert the rest of their life type thing.
Right.
But
Right.
no, we
Like
use
you're
it.
like it's a bad habit to get into. Tie food
Right,
to the
right.
reward
But I've
system.
used it
Okay.
as rewards in the past too. So anyway, so we've gave my son, he was 4 years old at the time, we gave him a cupcake and it had about an inch of ice cream or an inch of frosting on the top, and then the cupcake was on the bottom. And he ate I keep saying ice cream. He ate the frosting within like 5 seconds, like all of the frosting. And then about 15 to 25 seconds later, he stops and looks at me because he didn't make it all the way down through the cupcake. And he's like, I'm starting to go blind. And I was like, what? He's like, Dad, I can't see right now. And he's like, he just went into like a sugar induced thing where he couldn't even see. And I was like, and that's right there, the practical application of what sugar is going to do to my child.
Right. Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And because we didn't feed our kids a lot of desserts, a lot of sugars, but then he goes to town on this one. It was a special occasion and it happens. And then he feels terrible. And then, well, I just did a little bit of a disservice to my child. Again, have desserts, do whatever you want. Just be mindful of what that's going to do to your child. So,
I will say this, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to say it like it's true. None of my kids had added sugar before they were 2, maybe not even 3. And by that, I mean, like on their first birthday, like I didn't get my kids a cake. I wasn't like, oh, it's their birthday, they get a cake and ice cream. Fuck that. They didn't get it when they were 1. They didn't get it when they were 2. I didn't give them even honey. Like they ate shit like the biggest dessert they would have in their first 3 years of life would be like a banana smash with avocado. And to this day, so then the other day I went to the beach, and this is the good thing about having 3 boys. We were at the beach, and they were eating bacon and eggs, and then we were gonna head down to the beach, and I bought them a chocolate chip cookie, and I split it into 3 pieces. That's the best thing about having 3 kids. You can split everything into 3 pieces. And 2 of the boys were like, "Hey, it's too sweet," and they gave it back to me. They took a bite, and they're like, "Hey, it's too sweet," and I get it. because like I would buy them just a bag of fucking lettuce and throw it in the back of the car, and they would eat that as kids, like that, like
Yeah.
their taste buds. It's like there's a whole lifetime. Your job is just to take care of your kids. There's a whole lifetime for them to go away to college, buy a fucking loaf of Wonder Bread and spread Nutella on it, and sit there with their girlfriend and eat the fucking whole thing. Knock your socks off, kid. Who? That's what the beautiful woman that you love and a bag of white bread and chocolate spread. There's nothing better in life. Indulge, but like, yeah, like why are you giving your kids? I would literally go to I would literally go with my friends to, let's say, an ice cream shop, and they would buy ice cream to bring home to their kids. Their kids weren't even there asking for it, and I'd be like, "What? That's not okay." In my opinion, that's not your job to like
Right.
bring the poison home. They're not even here putting pressure on you. like what mechanism in your brain? It just seems so selfish. But what's interesting is I did use sugar as a reward. I've talked about this extensively with my son Avi. I basically, when he started riding a skateboard at 5.5, I told him every 100 days I'll buy you ice cream. I'll buy you an ice cream cone. So he made, and then on the 365th day, if you make it a year, consecutive days, if you ever miss a day, the game's over. But 365 days consecutive, and I'll buy you an ice cream cake, and you can invite people over to the house. And he made it. Every 100 days, he got the ice cream cone. But now he's doing his other challenges. So now moving forward, he's over the sugar. He did 100 days running a mile every day. He got a go-kart. And what's he doing now? Now he's going to do a workout every day for $1, but he doesn't want the dollars until he gets to 100 days because he wants to own a $100 bill. Right? So I'm like,
Nice.
okay, cool. Yeah, I know it's
I was,
awesome.
hey,
I
so
I
you,
sucker I sucker my mom to buy all that shit. By the way,
yeah, right,
like on
right.
day
That's
99, I'm like, hey mom, you want to sponsor this? You want to sponsor this event Avi's doing for the
sponsors,
$100
sponsors.
bill? Yeah, sponsors.
So the crazy thing is too that
Money and food. I'm corrupting
it's more
myself.
popular for people to respond in a way of being like, "Oh my gosh, Sevan, that is terrible. Why would you do that? You're being such a sugar, an anti-sugar Nazi, right?"
Yeah,
But that's what the state of the, first of all, we've gotten here somehow.
right.
And here meaning the state of America, the state of the world in regards to the level of obesity, the level of chronic disease, the level of metabolically being unhealthy. Somehow we've gotten to this point, and what you're talking about is something that was very common back in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, where it's like sugar wasn't something you just brought home. And I wasn't alive back then, but I was assuming and looking at a lot of the consistencies. The sugar wasn't just brought home. It wasn't just there. That was a delicacy, a special occasion type thing. Um, I love it when my kids will walk up to the fridge, open up the fridge, and then there's readily available sliced vegetables that they can grab. There's fruit that they can have. There's pieces of meat that they can munch on, right? Little things like that. And
Did
then
your
if
parents
you
do
know,
that for you? Like, did you used
uh,
to come home and there'd be like carrots floating in a cup of water, and like you'd be like, all
and
right, I'll eat those. No,
yeah, well, yeah, like tomatoes and pickles and little
and
carrots, and plus we
celery.
didn't,
Yeah,
yeah, just little things like
my
that. But
mom
then
chopped
also
all
on the,
that shit up and kept it in the fridge.
yeah, that's good. And then on the flip side though we had like the white bread and then the butter and then just plain sugar on there too. So you just had little things like that.
I had a
So,
few thousand of those. I had a few thousand of just butter and sugar.
oh man, how did you do
Butter and
butter and on a cracker? Butter on a
I did.
cracker?
Well, I did worse. I did margarine.
Dude,
My family
stop.
followed all the trends. The non-fat yogurt, the non-fat milk, the non-fat Ritz crackers, the margarine, the wheat bread's good for you. The only thing we didn't get into was we didn't do my mom never got into artificial sweeteners for some reason but she was trying to do the right thing. You know what I mean? Like she was
Yeah.
being health conscious. Oh, I'm gonna get you the non-fat Keebler Elves crackers.
Oh,
But
nice. Look at
eat
her.
eat two boxes of them while I watch Scooby Doo. Like I was a chubby kid. I was a chubby, slothful kid, I was raised to avoid discomfort at all costs. I was basically raised, and unfortunately, this I don't mean to upset anyone, but that is the liberal ideology, to avoid discomfort. And it wasn't until I was 34 that I found CrossFit, and thank God I did, because it's basically the manual for life and success. Discomfort is actually how you get adaptation, growth, and happiness. You need those. And like, you don't ever get to, you can't ever, that's why it's kind of silly, this new motto that CrossFit has. Happiness is just a byproduct. You can never get, in my opinion, you can never work for happiness. But you can do all of these smart things, these formulas. There's the recipe for baking a cake, and there's a recipe for happiness. And part of those things is just hard work and discomfort and like facing your fears. I mean, that's why I do this
Mm-hmm.
podcast. I don't want to do this podcast. I want to stay home and play with my kids. I mean, it's probably kind of like that with the games for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Yeah.
like it.
Well, the
We've learned
games
to
for me.
we've learned to like the hard work, but it still is hard work, and but we do it. We're baking a cake. We're constantly just baking a cake, putting in the work.
Do you find that the
Plan
podcast is more work than pleasure?
Everything around the podcast is more work than pleasure. The actual time, like this part now with you, this part is great.
Yeah. Well,
Everything
that's just,
else around it is like it, um like I'm at the skate park. I'm at jiu-jitsu yesterday, and I'm thinking like, and I'm trying to watch my kid, and questions are popping up to ask Kyle Kasperbauer right in my head. And now,
hmm
but that's cool. But now this other thought pops up: should you be writing that down, or should you be pushing that out of your head? Or that,
hmm
you know what I mean? It's just, it's the, I don't, and don't I'm not complaining at all. This is like, you do this to yourself on purpose, but it's to
hmm
yeah. But no, that's a hard question for me to ask or to
Well,
answer.
well, Savan, that's part of it too, right? Like no, like one of the things that drives me nuts is when people are like, I love to compete, but I don't like the work to put in to compete. It's
Ah,
like, okay, so wait a second. So you're telling me that you only want to compete, but you don't want to put all the work in to get there? Like, are you really seriously saying that? So you want to have a CrossFit gym, but you don't want to do all the things involved in owning the CrossFit gym. You just want to have the CrossFit gym. You just want to make the games. You want to compete. You just want to have
right.
the podcast, but you don't want. And that's where it's like appreciating and valuing that process. It's like no one like yes, work is work, and we're not going to enjoy a ton of it, but it's also it's that balance of like, all right, well, this reward outweighs that, right? It's like the benefit of this right now with your podcast definitely outweighs the pain in the butt work that you could be spending towards your family, your kids, but it's worth it. It's worth it in the end.
So I think you're helping me flesh this out. It's kind of so thought so last night, it's 8:30 at night. I kind of wanted to do a second workout, and instead of doing a second workout, and I started going out into the gym, and then but I still needed to do a bunch of research for this podcast that I was going to do with you tonight. And so I was like, I was just put on my workout clothes, and I was going to go out to the gym, and I was like, oh, fuck, that's like, and I convinced myself that if I worked out, I would do the research better. And I'd already worked out once, and I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm not going to work out. So I'm in my gym clothes, and I come back and sit in front of my computer, and I start researching it. And everything, even like, I hated everything up to the point of the second I sat down and opened your Instagram and opened up Google and started Googling on Kyle Kasparov. Now all of a sudden I had fun. And I got like my favorite pen in my hand, and I'm learning shit about you, and I'm seeing pictures on your Instagram that I took that you didn't give me credit for. And I'm going through this thought of hating you and canceling the podcast because of it. And like all that shit I loved. It's kind of the same thing with like trees in my backyard. I love going to the nursery. I love buying the tree, and that
Yeah.
space in between bringing the tree home and starting to dig the hole, I fucking hate. So I bought
hmm
these two trees the other day, these two fruit trees, and they've been sitting in my yard now for 2 days. And there's this pressure mounting to get them in the ground. And like, I just need, I know second I get the shovel in my hand and I start digging, I'll be like, yeah, look at me, I'm the shit. And I'll just be in heaven, right? But like,
What
and
kind
then
of
when the
fruit is
fruit,
it?
I wish I could tell you. I bought these three fruit trees. I
Peach?
have over 100 fruit trees in my yard. I got peach trees. I got everything.
Oh my
But
gosh, dude.
But I brought these. I
You have,
went
do
online the other day. My wife can hear me. I should be careful saying
you
this.
have
I went.
do you have gnomes in the backyard too? Do you have gnomes?
No, do we have garden gnomes? No, but I got other like sacrilegious
I don't know.
statues, like
I feel like you do.
Buddhas and shit. No gnomes. No, no.
Oh.
I'm the only gnome in the backyard.
Yeah.
um, but I went online and I picked out 3 trees. I just looked for the rarest fruit that can grow in California, and there were these 3 fruit trees I had never heard of, 3 different kinds. I had never heard of them, so I bought them. And like I always feel guilty doing it because my whole family knows I have way too many trees in my yard already. So it's kind of like I'm
Yeah.
sneaking it, even though like I'm a grown ass man. It's my money. It's like oh shit. And then like
You
I
know
have to
what
sneak
though?
away to the
If
nursery and get gopher
that's your
baskets, and
you're such a just a badass
I'm
dude.
naughty.
That's like a very that's completely rebellious.
Yes,
That's
yes,
that's a married man with 3 children, and you're being rebellious. That's your way of
yes.
just taking it to the man. That's what you're doing.
And it's all made up in my head too. My wife always says, like, after I plant them, I'll be like, look at the trees, and I'm waiting to get in trouble, and I never do. She's like, oh, cool, you
That's
know.
right.
But
You don't
but
get caught.
I always feel like I'm doing something bad. I always feel, but she's always like supports me. But I always feel like, oh shit. Anyway, so then after I did the research last night at 10:30 at night, I still went out to the gym and I worked out. I put on some UFC and I did a cool workout. I just did bench press, deadlifts, and assault bike, and just for an hour. Went to
Awesome.
bed at midnight, and yeah. And now here I
You
am
went to
with
bed
you.
at midnight?
Yeah.
Holy
I don't
cow.
sleep very much. I sleep like
Mhm.
6 hours a night and then probably like a 1 hour nap during the day.
Okay.
What do you sleep?
Probably 8, 7, 7. Oh, I did 7 because I woke up early this morning, so I was up at like 5:20. And
You
then
own a gym?
yes,
CrossFit Kinesis.
Kinesis. Yep.
What does Kinesis mean?
Basically, it's the effect of a stimulus placed on it. It's a derivative of kinesiology. I co-own it with a great partner, Nissa Cohen. I've known her for
Oh,
many years.
do I know her? That name sounds familiar. Tell me her name again. I want to look her up and see if I see a picture
Well,
of her.
her original name is, well, original maiden name is Nissa Ryder. She's been
Uh-huh.
married for I think 2 or 3 years. Gosh, I should know how many years she's been married. But she just went over to it just went over to Nissa Cohen. So I don't know if you know her or not. You might.
Movement or activity of an organism in response to a stimulus such as light, kinesis, any manifestation of dynamic energy. And cytoology, a short expression of karyokinesis. I shouldn't have tried reading 3 different definitions for you.
I think you were good on the first definition. You should have stopped.
Yeah, I should have. I would have
It
sounded
sounded really
smart.
smart until you kept reading.
Start showing what words I can't read. Um, is that your vocation, Jim? You support a family running a gym,
Yes, that's one. And then my wife has her own business as well.
and what does
So
she
we
do?
work to. She's a nurse practitioner in child psychiatry.
Oh shit! Wow.
So, yeah.
Does she
So for a while
experiment on
there,
your
I
kids?
was. She tries to experiment on me on a daily, I tell you. But also, yeah, with the kids, it's something to where it's like behavior modification through reinforcement. So, and
Can you give me an example of that?
you have a group of children in your room or in a classroom, let's say just a classroom. It doesn't have to be a classroom, but you have a group of children and 3 of them are misbehaving and 2 of them are behaving and doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. You've asked what you've asked them to do. And the typical wrong thing to do would be give the 3 kids that are misbehaving all the attention the whole time. And just assume that since the other kids that have done exactly what you asked them to do, you're paying attention to the other ones and ignoring the ones that you're doing. Now, that was a model that my wife, Macy, her parents actually developed and created a full business and a life and a franchise, and now they're about to sell that business. And that doesn't relate to my wife's business, but it does relate to the behavior modification model that I've learned from my wife. And now she is in psychiatry. She benefits from that background and is able to specialize in children and adolescent. So, and honestly, it's helped with me too. But just the fact of like, hey, Sevan, did something well, I'm going to reward you. And then if you aren't doing something well, you don't get the reward, but you're not necessarily going to get punished. You get something else. But you know, it's a give and take in this model. But I've learned a lot from it, and it's helped me. It's helped me and my wife discipline our children on a consistent basis and a consistent model. I don't know about you, but I got spanked when I was a kid, and some of that
Not
worked,
much,
some of
but
it
not
didn't.
much, but tried. They tried. My mom tried a little.
Right.
My dad, I would get just like the hand like comes just up from nowhere, and you take one. But my mom was more like, "Hey, get the spoon," and you're like, "Fuck that," and you run
Dude,
outside. You know what I mean? Like,
the end of a fly swatter, brother. End of a
oh
fly
yeah,
swatter.
yeah, that would be. Whew.
I also figured out a trick to where if you, yeah.
This end, this end,
No,
or
the
this?
other end, and it was a
Oh,
metal fly swatter.
oh man, oh man.
But so the trick was if you flattened out, so if you're in a plank position and you
Uh-huh.
squeeze your butt, it wouldn't
Uh-huh.
hurt as much. So if they're doing it with their
Oh,
hand, it didn't hurt as much. So then my wife, or my mom had to go get tools to punish me. But it didn't happen very often. But when it did, I definitely remembered it. So
you really are. You really are CrossFit Kinesis. You really are kinesiology. You crack the code, shine the light on the bug, and it moves. But the fly swatter wasn't going to move you. Okay, so sorry. So your wife.
yeah.
So
So
spanking. So spanking's not good because kids get. It's just negative
well,
attention.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not good. I mean, and any parent can do what they want. I'm just saying that.
As long as you take your
Um,
rings off before you hit them, it's fine.
well, if it's a closed fist, it's abuse, right? But
Right.
no, I
Right.
didn't say that either. But either way, no. So then I primarily, that's my primary focus is all in with CrossFit Kinesis. I'm a very present owner. Um, I enjoy the classes. I enjoy being part of the community. As an athlete at the elite level, you remove yourself from the community. It just happens. You end up removing yourself from the community, and that's just part of that, to where you have to do extra more. And honestly, nobody else is out there on the floor with you when in competition. So you have to be able to. You have to be used to being by yourself, and when you win, it's even more so. You're isolating even more. But or you have a small number of athletes that you're training with, which you start seeing that at the higher level, at whether it's individual, team, or at the master's level. But so I try to embrace what God has gifted me, and that's the gym, that's a community, it's a family, that's an environment that's positive. There are some of the grind of being a business owner, but again, it's that gratitude mentality that changes everything. I can either complain about it, or I can be thankful for it and then do the other stuff that's the nitty-gritty administrative work. That was one of the reasons that I wanted to open up a gym in the first place, is to get out of the office. So yeah.
Go back to the by the way, you said something really interesting there. That affected me when I was a young man. Someone tried to give me something and I refused it, and they said, "Hey, if you don't accept the gifts that God gives you, He'll stop giving." And that was a
Yeah.
huge because you know how they say you should always accept gifts gracefully, or you should learn to accept things gracefully. That shit never
100%.
resonated with me. But when I heard it this other way, I was like, that resonated with me. Like I get it. I get it.
Dude, well,
I feel the universe showering me with shit all the time, and I just have to be really, really aware and open to receiving it, and passing
exactly.
it forward, letting it flow through me. And if you try to stop it or don't be, and I sense gratitude is kind of that like acceptance and letting it flow through you. It's like
Mhm.
basically like someone drives a car into your garage. It's yours when it's in your garage, and then it drives out the back, and just keep making room for more and more shit like to come in and go out, and everything around you will flourish, right? It's like this, I don't know how to explain it.
No, that's exactly right. Well, it's like this, Sevan. If deep in your heart you wanted to do something kind for me, and you wanted to do that for me, and you had a reason or a motivation that was just like, you know what, I just want to love on this dude real quick. I want to do that for him, and I just decline that. What kind of a horse's ass am I to decline that from you? Because then, one, you're not able to bless me or gift me
Right,
with that thing that you wanted to give me. And
Right.
what I did was actually cause either some sort of resentment or something inside of you that wasn't there before. And all you want to do is love on me as a dude and be like, hey, I just want to buy you lunch. No, man, I got it. I got it. All right. And that's a sense of confidence too. When you can accept a compliment, or if you can accept a gift from someone gracefully like that, that is
Mm.
showing one, you can be confident in yourself to receive that. And it's like, okay, I don't have to be this big tough guy all the time and be like, no, I got all this all the time. No, nobody's got to figure it out all the time. But just
Right.
also just receiving that gift from you shows confidence in me as well. So
I
that's been
refuse to
something
let
that's
my
been,
wife. I refuse to let my wife take the trash out. Fucking refuse.
well, that's, I mean, we're
I
talking about something.
apologize. I apologize to God right now if that's something He's wanting me to give up. I'm not. I'm not. I'm holding on to that till the day I
But
die.
why is that? Is that because you're being a gentleman and you want to do that? And you're like, no, man, that's my job. I want to do that. I want to be responsible for that. Because that's
Both,
different too.
both. Like, it's the fucking garbage, and I don't like. I don't think it's like a bad duty, but like I just, my mom just. But from when I was a little kid, she would tell me to take out the garbage, and it's what I
Hmm.
do. It's just like the same thing when I walk down the street. I don't let my wife walk on the side of the
Outside.
street. Yeah, the outside. And when I grew up in Berkeley and Oakland, the reason for that is because that the women were on, if the woman was on the outside, she was seen as a prostitute. But it's also just it's a ritual I'm comfortable with. I'm comfortable being a sexist asshole that wants to. Now, some things have transcended that sexism. I don't just hold doors open for women. I hold doors open for all people, but I
Hmm.
will like hold doors open longer for more attractive people, old people, and people of other ethnicities.
Well, there you're
That
just
that's
talking
that's
about,
the that, that's the
you're
racist
talking
part of
about,
me.
well,
I do. I
um,
actually do that. I do that. If you were if I was walked into Starbucks and you were coming behind me, I would give you get like a 6 second window. If you're a black dude or a black chick, I give you like a 12 second window. Or if you're a hot chick, or if you're an old person, or if you're a kid. But if it's you, sorry. And it's
just
not
like
because
a
I'm being
regular white
rude.
dude,
I don't.
regular white
No,
dude,
not a
or
regular white
just
dude doesn't
me?
get that. No, no,
Oh,
because I want to be nicer to. I'm just nicer to
sure.
pretty. It's just like flowers in my yard. I'm nicer to the prettier flowers. It is that way. And I have a soft spot for kids and obviously old people. I guess my mom just raised me right, and black people because I don't want them, or even like Asian or anything, because I don't want, we have all this tension around us and I feel the pressure and I don't want to be an asshole to them. Same thing with like if you were trying to pass to get in front of me in a lane in front of me and you're a black dude. I'll tap my brakes and let you get in front of me. You're a white dude. It's like, dude, you got like use your fucking. I would be like, use your fucking blinker. You know what I mean? Get in where you fit in. Yeah, it's just it's bad. It's
Gosh, dude.
horrible. It's horrible.
Well, when you're
It's
talking
over.
about,
It's overcompensation.
yeah.
So I do that. Yeah. When you're 5'5", you have all sorts of overcompensation all over your life.
just a
You get a big
just a
truck, a big dog.
just a garden gnome walking around the backyard.
Yes. 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 Okay. Sorry,
Um,
I'm all over the place.
no, I think what you're talking about, the trash taken out for your wife, that's just chivalry, bro. Chivalry's dead.
Uh oh.
Chivalry's dead.
You're making me look up another word.
Well, just doing nice things for your wife, that's something different. But but if it's something where you want to go out of your way and serve her, and she doesn't, and she declines that, how
Uh,
is that going to make you feel?
It's a mounted qualities of the ideal knight, the system of spirit or customs of medieval knighthood. Am I looking up the right word? Yeah, I guess. Oh, gallant or distinguished gentleman. Yeah, my mom always wanted me to be a gentleman, and I think part of that has to do with just like being nice to everyone, but especially to women and children and old people. She never told me to be extra nice to black people. That's just like a societal pressure I got. And
Just black, or what
and
about like Asian,
whatever,
Mexican,
whoever that week in the news. No,
Oriental,
not Mexican, not Mexican. There's there because
Middle
I'm numb to
Eastern?
Mexicans. They're the same as white people in California. They fucking got to turn their blinker on too. They're my equal. Fuck those guys. But but just whatever the flavor is of the month to be concerned about. Just like if I can't tell if you're if I can't tell if you're a man or a woman, I'll be extra nice to you too. Just because like just trying to overcompensate for like just trying to overcompensate. Not like crazy extra nice, but you know what I mean? Just like a little more presence for you.
Sure.
Like I say how are you and I actually give a fuck what your answer is. Where if I ask you, I'm just like, okay, move out of my way. I need to get to those cucumbers. You know what I mean? At the grocery store.
Oh, dude. You know, anyway, sorry. No, I'm not going there.
Go ahead.
You're
Go
talking
ahead.
about cucumber. No, it's, uh,
I feed my kids a lot of cucumbers. It's my go-to snack. The little Persian ones. If I go to the grocery store, my wife always sends me a text. We've always done that since they've been very, very little. Since even before they had teeth, I would wash a Persian cucumber, put it in the fridge. They liked putting it in their mouth when they were teething. It would be
mhm.
cold, and then eventually, when they started eating, cucumber, ultimate snack. And I would cut off the ends because it's a little bitter there. And did you have a go-to
What's the
snack?
difference between Persian cucumber and
They're little. They're
fake
the little
cucumber?
tiny ones, and they're
Oh,
like
okay.
they look like almost like little pickles. And so a kid
Okay.
can hold it in his hand. It's not like the big giant one with the thick skin. They're awesome.
Yeah.
How holding doors open longer for black people, dude? Letting a black dude in traffic, Sevan, you are so woke. I know. I know. I'm not. I walk this walk of like trying to be like this fucking non woke motherfucker, but I'm not perfect. Um, how is it owning a business and like you are um, you have a lot of clients. You have a space where a lot of people come in, and then you have not only that, you have an owner of your gym. How are you managing all of these polarizing ideas? And they're not like normal polarizing ideas. It's not like where you're fighting over someone like, hey, is is are electric cars better than gas cars? These are things now that are like people are talking about taking needles and injecting our kids with a substance outside of our control. Like, and how do you deal with that? Like, how do you run a business and take money from someone and treat them with love and care and benevolence and try to grow them as human beings, while meanwhile they're voting in politicians who think that your kid should be held down and injected with a drug? I mean, that's basically, at least for me, that's like what it's starting to come down to. Like, holy shit, you voted for that guy that wants to put a needle in my kid
Yeah, that's
by
a
force? Like, how do you
right.
manage that? I'm okay if you think electric cars are better than gas cars. I'm even okay if you think Armenians are dumb fucks. I'm even okay like if you think short people shouldn't mate anymore. Like I'm okay with all these things. I'm so fucking cool. You can hate me for like all these things and I can still love you. But like the thing like you want to put a needle in my kid now, I'm like you kind of got to go.
Yeah.
You
No,
kind of
it's
you can't be like you got to go. You can't be around here.
short people not mating anymore. That's a funny one.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Um,
that. That's a totally legit opinion. I see it. I see it. I totally see it.
no, I think
But I
that's a
don't see injecting
real
my kid with
question.
stuff against my will.
Yeah.
I don't even see like one tiny little bit of it.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, Savan. I think a lot of CrossFit box owners are figuring it out as they go. But for me, I'm lucky to have a great team that surrounds me with Nissa and then the rest of the staff, to where once we can meet and consistently communicate on what direction we're going to go, and that direction is the fact that look, we have a gym, and the purpose of the gym is to literally continue to fight chronic disease. That's 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 our sole purpose of Kinesis, is to fight chronic disease through fitness and all these other topics
And
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 all
and
this.
diet and diet and
Right,
community, right?
exercise,
Those are the
yes,
three
diet,
pieces.
yeah,
Right.
yes, through CrossFit,
Right.
fitness, and nutrition.
And community.
And
Those are the would you say those are the three pieces? Fitness, diet, and community, like support.
100%. And the
Okay.
word community, it actually, that's a very powerful thing. And that, I think that's one of the primary reasons why CrossFit's so successful is just the value of a true group of people that are happy and for the most part get along, or even if they don't get along, they make it cordial, and it's a deeper meaning. Um, there's this book, and it's called the Nine Essential Habits for a Healthy Life, and they find these 7 areas. They're called 7 blue zones, and the blue zones are just they're areas throughout the world of these populations that are consistently starting to live past 100 years old. And what's happening is these individuals go into these locations, and there's like a small area outside of Greece, Another spot, an island outside of Italy, Sardinia. Okinawa is a location. Um, an area in California like Lona I can't remember the actual town or
Loma
city.
Vista, Ojai.
No, no, I'll
I want
think
to
of
know.
it. I'm not from California. I'm from Nebraska, so I barely know that. But either way,
Are there any states where they don't have uh state tax where it's a blue zone? Anyway, I'll look that up afterwards. I want to move there. I'm ready to move. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I bet. So anyway, they're like, they go into these areas and they're like, what is the difference? What is making this area special in regards to every other place else in the world, and what do these places have in common? And obviously there's the common areas, like either there's exercise more days than not, or if it's not exercise, it's living an active, healthy lifestyle. Eating is a part of that, right? The obvious things of like no smoking. But then there's another key ingredient that is consistent across across all of the zones, and that is a community, a supportive community. And CrossFit has embraced that and empowered that of community. And that's one of the reasons. I mean, these people are living past 100 years old consistently in these different zones in the world. And it's because of, yes, exercise, yes, of nutrition, yes, of no smoking, yes, of drinking, but in moderation and laughing. But then the community is so important and more valuable than people think. And if you're a part of a gym, but you're not getting involved in that community, you are so missing out. And I used to be a part of a big box gym that kept talking about community, but nobody knew what it meant. They just kept saying it. They didn't know what it was. So that right there is how we've gotten through this crazy, 2 years that's been more volatile than any other year that I've ever been alive that I can remember. And some of those years I was so embraced in my own narcissism as a teenager or a young athlete that I couldn't even have noticed anyway. But now it's just so in your face and you can't even avoid it because it's on social media, and this thing called social media that brings everything to you right now. That's been how we've kind of navigated and just understood what our mission was, our purpose of why the gym was there. It's not to get political. It's not to make a stance and all of that right now. And that's not saying that I'm not, or that I'm not doing it individually, but as a gym and a team, and the mission of the gym, it's to get to that barbell, to spend time with the barbell. The barbell doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care how old you are. It just cares the fact that you spend time with it. It's the time that when you're in the gym, we try to keep it as neutral as possible. And again, I know people that completely think opposite, like completely opposite of me on every issue possible. But if I can sweat and suffer in fitness next to that person, then at least
Meaning
I'm winning.
they think that instead of holding the door an extra 5 seconds for a black person, you should actually not hold it open at all. Is that what you mean by the opposite? I'm just fucking.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh,
Go on. Sorry,
good
I couldn't
stuff. Good
resist.
jumping, Sevan.
Yes,
That was
yes.
great.
So you're saying you manage it. That you've doubled down on your vision and your direction of what your gym is, and it's to fight chronic disease using movement, nutrition, and community. And you're trying to stay really focused on that as a business, so not to alienate anyone, even if they think differently than you.
Yes, yes. That has brought success to us to where we are now in a place that we've never been as a business.
Wow, good on you.
We
Fuck,
had a
you're a big
hit.
man.
We had a hit. We got. Nobody knew what was going on a year ago. Nobody knew in the entire world. Nobody. Well, probably a few people knew that were
Right.
up to no good. But and they'll get what's coming to them at some point in time in their life. That always comes back around. But what we have is a gym and the community of what we slowly mindful. We were talking on a daily basis as a team and as a staff. We were prepared to make any move at any point in time, but we just kept mindfully moving forward, and the community was getting stronger. And they started actually understanding what we've been screaming from the rooftops for 10 years, Sevan?
Yeah,
10 years,
10,
maybe
20
more.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not new. This has been predicted. We've been in a place where this was predicted, and they're like, yeah, it'll come when it comes, but probably not in this life. Maybe later down the road. No, we're seeing it right now, and that's that overwhelming of the obesity and the chronic disease and the sugar overtake and the big soda, big pharma, all that whole mess is now just coming and trying to take over what has been clearly defined. And the testimonies over time, over and over and over, to where it's like you're trying to get us to deny our own personal testimony because it doesn't fit someone's agenda. Absolutely not, never, in ever. If you deny your own testimony, there's going to be some serious denial deep inside, and then that's when things get really weird for you as an individual. But as a community, and that includes the owners and the coaches. When people say community, that truly involves everybody. And it also involves the spouses of members that aren't even a part of that gym, and the kids. That's part of it. But together, everybody just became stronger. They started to understand the mission and the bigger purpose of what we've been trying to say as coaches and owners for years. And it's an incredible thing. We're seeing a lot of good value in it, and it's showing some great success. That it's such a blessing, Sevan. There's a silver lining and other side of the coin to every blessing and every curse, and I think we can find that in owning a gym. Now, there are gyms out there that unfortunately either had to shut down or change up their entire model. But again, here comes this sense of gratitude. I feel that in certain areas in the world, in the US, to where maybe it was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, that could have been a blessing for them to change their route in their life anyway, and it probably wasn't a good thing for them anyway. So, and there's probably people out there that absolutely did not want to shut down, but sometimes you're forced into a position to where you don't want to do it. Change is so hard. It's not going to be fun. It's awful. It's terrible. And then when you have that change being forced on, you're like, actually, I'm kind of thankful for that. So, yeah, it's that sense of gratitude again. So just there's some challenge and there's some thankfulness from the season so far. I can't hear you, Sevan.
I muted myself.
So start over from when you muted yourself.
One of the things I think about when you were saying that you as a team and your business came together as this thing was unfolding, and you guys are basically doubling down on your focus, figuring out what's important to you, and being ready. I think you didn't use the word pivot, but you guys were ready to make this work no matter what. Guys were being flexible and real time, watching the tsunami of insanity, all the different things, whether it be COVID, the racial strife, just all these shit just sweeping over the country, this darkness that people were insisting is here. You guys kept your head above and just kept focusing on, okay, what can we do to basically stay alive? And I've been in positions where literally, and probably there's a lot of couples like this, but my wife and I, okay, what's important to us? If shit hits the fan, do we sell the house or do we move into a van? We both agree. You move into a van. No matter what, you never sell the house. And it's like that, right? It starts becoming like, and it's not even bad. It's kind of like if you don't have that talk, if you don't all get on the same, it's a relief. Oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's totally cool to fucking like to move into a van and just travel around the country with the kids. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. The gym owners are totally cool that if shit hits the fan, we'll lose this thing and we'll move to a park. But the show must go on. And it's going to be just as good, and it's just going to be another experience. We just will do it in the park. And I was just trying to relate to what you were saying, just as it seems, and then the truth is that you come out better on the other side. I mean, this breaks my heart to almost say this, like I'm bragging, but this has been the best 2 years of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, this has just been crazy.
Well, because it brought you together as a family.
Well, double down on my kids and my wife.
Like triple down, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's the only thing. I removed all the other shit that's like not. The other shit just went away.
Well, in that conversation you had with your wife about moving into was it a van or an RV?
Yeah, van, whatever. Just like, hey, basically the point is like, hey, under no circumstances do we give up real estate. Like we own real
Right.
estate and like in California, and it's like it's crazy. Like you should like everything's good. Like what's more important to us, living in a van and being able to still eat avocados and drink coffee at will, or owning our house? No, we'd rather live in
Mm-hmm.
a van and still be able to buy all the avocados and coffee we want, and we'll just figure it out. But fuck, you don't want to give up your real estate. Like you don't want to give up, like maybe, and for you guys maybe it was like, hey, we don't want to give up this fight against chronic disease that we're doing, so we need to be ready to like just move it.
Right. Well, and that was the other thing
And
too,
we
is
weren't
that
even close to that happening, but I
yeah.
needed it wasn't I didn't I never saw that. I never saw that as a reality, but I needed like to just have that conversation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what happens? Like, I never plan on the plane crashing, but if it does happen, like, do we have parachutes on?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, that's where we were at because Kinesis has grown to a point. We've been blessed to where we were able to um, purchase land and build our own building, and that happened 3 years ago. So we
Holy
were
shit!
all so we were all in. We're
Right before the shit hit the fan, you guys are like doubling down on your investment in your business.
Sevan. It was a true blessing. The timing. I can't deny this. And again, I give all this glory to God because the fact of the timing, sometimes in life when things happen and you try to deny it, but it's like the perfect dominoes are set up in place.
Right.
The space that we had before would have been, it would have decimated our community in regards to the COVID season. It was not we have a brand new HVAC system. We have very large garage doors and the ventilation within there. We have the space to spread classes out if we needed to. We had the staffing ability to do so, the cleanliness of a new building. These are true blessings that I'm thankful for. But it was also the mentality that there is no going back. There's no other option type mentality. Yes, let's say worst case scenario that we had to downgrade and go to a different space and then try to rent out our space. There's always that option, but that's not what I want. We designed this building based off of the community feedback and the coaches feedback for the community. So it was designed that way. So we were all in. And that's the same thing with what you're talking about with owning real estate in California. Look, there's no option B on this in regards to, there's no option to sell. That door isn't open. It's not even there on the wall. So it's like, okay, so we're going to find a way. We're going to do this whatever way. And that mentality, I encourage those gym owners out there that are still struggling and dealing with whether it's government overreach and trying to control their business or consistent, whatever that is that mentality can change overnight too. You can flip that coin over and you can go right at it, and and eventually, that will change everything. It'll change everything. Things will start working out because you start grinding harder, you start focusing more, you start doing things that you weren't committed to doing before. Just like this podcast, if you start seeing things you haven't seen, there's a whole different level of dedication. So
If you don't have kids and you have felt any kind of hopelessness during the last 2 years, from the bottom of my heart, please stop being a fucking bitch. If you don't have kids, if you are just a free-flowing person, you should be contributing nonstop to hope, prosperity, and belief in yourself and everyone around you. You have no fucking clue how fucking free you are. This is not to say that I wouldn't that having kids isn't a great thing, but like I saw what Mark. Do you know who Mark Bell is?
mm-hmm.
He's doing this thing. He's promoting this thing called Steptember. I had never heard of it before, but basically you walk like, I don't know if he's the inventor of it, but you walk 10,000 steps every day. And then he did this thing on Tuesday of this week where he said he's going to walk 100,000 steps. It's 50 miles, and he started at 4 in the morning. I haven't gone to his Instagram and looked, but like, dude, like that is so fucking awesome, that contribution. He's this big old juiced up dude, and he's getting into walking. and he's making himself accessible to the fucking world. And I don't know if the guy has kids or not, but like if you don't have kids and you're just free to be as creative and do that shit and contribute and be a part. But there was something else here about what we said about community. There's some point in your life where you read in a book somewhere, you are the 5 people you hang around the most, and before that maybe you hear about something called peer pressure and you feel peer pressure. The real truth is here, people, and I don't know if who's willing to accept this and who's not, but I'm telling you it's 100% the truth. There's no one here. We're all just mirrors of each other. And so when you light up a cigarette, you're telling everyone around you it's okay to smoke. When you eat a donut and shove your face a donut and a Coca-Cola, you're telling everyone around you it's okay. Every bad thing you do, you are spreading the disease. Now, you have to be compassionate with yourself. You got to be cool. But we're just mirrors. And so when I see this dude, Mark Bell, or when I see like nothing, you're invincible if you don't have kids. You're completely free from all personal responsibility. You can reinvent anything. You own yourself. And the cool thing about having kids is it's a free ride to enlightenment. Like a good parent is selfless, and you have to you have to become selfless. And so it's a go ahead and have unprotected sex with a girl and begin the journey to God of becoming selfless. But if you don't, contribute, even if you have to get your ego involved in it. But we're all just mirrors here, man. And yeah, we're all just mirrors here. All of our actions are being mirrored and picked up by other people, and that's also why one of the things why like you can go ahead and wear a mask. You can go ahead and say all you want about it, but don't deny the fact that you're signaling everyone around you that there's something here that's super duper dangerous. Don't take responsibility for the message you're sending out to the world, because you are sending out a very, very, very scary message. I know you think, oh, I'm just doing the right thing. Oh, I'm just protecting people. You're doing something far, far more significant and heavy than that. You're looking at it in a very, very superficial way. Very superficial way. That's why you see traffic jams and people being think about airplanes. When you get off an airplane, everyone's a fucking asshole. It just turns into the worst human beings ever. Like, everyone's fighting to get off the plane first. Where the fuck are you going? Like, don't be that guy. Don't mirror everyone else on the plane. Just stop. Be the opposite. Help everyone with their luggage. Let everyone else go out first. Anyway. Okay, sorry. I just my neck got a little tight getting on my rant. Yeah. But it's fun. Doing it. Once you start train yourself to be that guy, it's fun, right?
Absolutely.
You've never done anything nice for someone and regretted it, right? You've never done anything nice for someone and regretted it.
Right.
How many times do you see people, like you see someone at a bus stop and you're like, man, I should give that person a ride. And then you're like, I can't do that because then they'll think I'm a fucking weirdo, or there's something in the news about someone who killed someone. There's like all of these things that we're like afraid to do to be nice to other people. But like 99% of the time, and I'm not saying you fake it. I hate those fucking people who are faking it too. Like I didn't plant trees in my backyard to share my fruit, but when I have extra fruit, I just fucking put it in a bag and go drop it off at my neighbor's porch. Like, it's easy to be nice. Just yeah.
Well, it's very easy to be nice. One thing that I struggled with in the past was giving money or tithing or donating.
What did you call it? Tithing?
Tithing. T-I-T-H. Tithing.
My vocabulary is getting huge after this show. Fuck reading. Just have Kyle on.
I'm still learning. But because I didn't have a lot of money when I was younger. So then I held everything super tight. And I didn't, when you see a homeless person on the side of the street, I had a challenging time giving money away. So it was either just a little bit of food, or I'd go to the gas station, grab something and give it back, and then give it that way. But then there was this one time where I had, it was just $10, dude. It was just $10. And it was just that day where I pulled to the stoplight. There was a homeless person next to me. And you probably see a lot more homeless individuals than I do, because the winter's
thousands, just thousands every day.
Yeah, right. So but this was me growing as a Christian too, is we're not asked to make a bunch of money and then hoard all that money. It's like you give and then you receive and then you give and then you receive and then you give and then you give. So it's like the more you give, the more you receive, the more you give, the more you receive. And again, being mindful of the real world bills and all that thing. But anyway, when I was at that corner, the Holy Spirit inside of me, it just brought me to give this individual $10. And that was hard for me to do. It was a challenging thing. But as soon as I gave it to him, he thanked me and he blessed me back by saying, God bless me. And again, this is kind of a stupid story, but as soon as I gave it to him and he said that back to me, I drove off and I started crying. I was like, why am I crying? It just broke my heart down, because the fact is that it was such a crutch in my life that I did not want to give even just a cent away, because it was not always there for me myself. So having that control and being scared to give. So then giving to that individual and then him saying that back, I think I was blessed just as much as he was, if not more, just by the fact that I finally opened that door open to do that. And it became much easier, and then starting to tithe in church more, and then just learning to be able to give more away. And you're talking about just doing nice things. It's like, okay, it is an easy act to do, but it's hard to get people out of their own rhythm. It's like, if we're just going to be lazy and we already don't feel good because we just had a bunch of sugar and then we didn't eat very well and we didn't sleep good the night before and we haven't exercised in 2.5 years or in a month, it's like, it's so much less effort to just care about yourself, because that's all you can care about, because you don't have enough energy to care about anybody else. So even though it's easy to do, it's a simple act. It's not necessarily easy. It's so simple to do something nice and kind, but it's not always that easy because of where we're at in our own consciously state of mind, because of the poor nutrition or the exercise or lack of sleep or thereof. So
yeah, when you're uncomfortable, you're at the peak of selfishness. When you're scared is nothing but selfishness. Fear is selfishness. I know some people are going to take that negative. I'm not even saying it in a negative way. I'm walking down the street and I hear a car slam on its brakes. All of a sudden I'm scared. Why? Because I'm being selfish. I have to look around because I don't want to get killed. It's like the epitome, the pinnacle of selfishness is like not wanting to die, right? Like, oh shit, I don't want that lion to eat me. I don't want that guy to hit me with his car. And so, yeah, and when you're and the opposite is where happiness exists, in communion with God, and that's selflessness. And that's when shit's just flowing through you. Gandhi said that begging is a profession, and it's the worst profession. And I really do believe that. And I remember walking down the street. I was with Greg Glassman. We were in San Luis Obispo, and there was a guy on the street selling hot dogs. Next to him, there was a guy with a violin case open playing the violin. And then next to him was a homeless guy. And there were the three options. And so I gave money to, going back to psychiatry and rewarding behavior, I gave money to the guy playing the violin, and I gave money to, and I bought a hot dog. And I didn't give money to the homeless guy. And here's why. Because me personally, Sevan, I didn't need that lesson, and I didn't want to vote with my dollar to support that behavior. I already give plenty to tons of people. I already tip I already pay for the guy. I want to reward good behaviors around me. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I go to the hotel, that I want to tip that guy who works hard. When I go to Starbucks and the girl smiles at me, I don't want to feel obligated to tip her. I want to be like, damn, she just shared that smile with me. I'm a give her a buck, and I'm pass that shit on to the person behind me and smile behind them. I was at this is one of my crowning achievements in my life. I was in San Diego. It was about 105 degrees outside. It was so fucking hot that no one was out walking around, which doesn't happen too often in San Diego. And my wife had gone into a Starbucks to use their bathroom, and there were some newspaper stands out in front of the Starbucks. And this is before I had kids, and I had my dog with me, a little tiny dog, Chihuahua. And I ducked down behind one of the newspaper stands to just get in the shade. That's how hot it was. Well, my wife went into Starbucks because I couldn't go in with her because I was watching the dog. And a guy walks up to me and hands me $5. He thought I was homeless.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my first instinct was like to refuse it. But in a second, I said, and I had shitloads of money. Like I was probably making like $200,000 a year and like like just chilling, but I'm ducking behind a newspaper stand. So I'm like, thank you. And I took the $5. And he walked on, and then like and probably, I don't know, like 15 minutes later, I saw a homeless guy, and he was just sitting there, and I just passed it on. I was like, yeah, hey, I'm pretty sure this is yours, dude. And I gave it, you know what I mean? But it was so awesome in that moment, because I wanted to be like, dude, what are you doing? Give me this $5. But I'm like, nah, it's cool, I'm good. I just looked up at the guy, thank you. You know what I mean? And I took the $5. It wasn't the first time I'd been accused of being homeless. When you have a beard like this and you live in, I was a dirty hippie. I got the homeless shit a lot.
Where was
And
that
then
at?
eventually I was homeless. That story I just told you happened in San Diego. When I was homeless, I was in Santa Barbara for a couple years. And that's another, interesting thing that I've talked pretty openly about. I met my wife as a homeless guy living in Santa Barbara. And now we've been together 20 years. We have 3 kids, and we have more than enough wealth for our life and our kids. But in the same respect, we're also not afraid to go move into a van to protect that, like, wealth. But I
So
guess
you
it's just
picked up your wife
priorities.
while being homeless.
Yeah, I mean, she was a
That's
college girl. Those college girls are
that's mad game,
susceptible.
Sevan.
They're
That's mad game.
susceptible to anything. You know what Ronnie Teasdale told me one time? One of the crowning achievements for him was he picked up a girl naked. He was somewhere naked, like in some like mountain retreat or some like some hot springs, and he said he was naked and started talking to this girl, and they, I mean, that's vulnerable
Well, that's
to do your mating
showing
dance
you everything
naked.
you got.
Yeah, right. Right. She
It
knows
was,
what she's signing up for.
well, I think
Or him. I
know,
don't even know. That's a good point. I never clarified if it was a him or a her. I
there
made
may be
that
some
presupposition.
positive relationships that come out of that. Being like, look, I know everything. We're starting at the end instead of the beginning. So
When I was homeless, the unfortunate tragic part is that 99.9% of my peer group were drug addicts. And I was not a drug addict. I was a soul searcher. I was searching for what it would be like to give up everything I owned, and I made the decision on my own. And I was just in a crazy minimalist, trying to mimic, my heroes like Jesus and the Buddha and these guys I had read about. I wanted to mimic their lifestyle. And unfortunately, that the cohort in that group, most people are homeless because they didn't. I mean, they made decisions that they prioritized drinking and heroin and pills and that stuff over shelter. And so that's how they ended up there. For me, it was a mix of my parents having enough of my bullshit, my antics, and me having the right influences and books in my life at the right time. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I'll try this homeless shit. It's scary as shit, right? But cool. Fuck, it was cool. Oh, man.
What part was cool?
Just being homeless and like
Yeah.
just being free, right?
Like no responsibilities.
None. You wake up when
Outside
you
of,
want, you work out
so-
when you want, you play ping pong when you want, you talk to you want, you can say whatever you want, you can think whatever you want, you can dress however you want, and I know everyone's like, well, I'm like that. Nah, you're not. Trust me. You're lying to yourself.
Right.
You're not. No one is until you got to go to the bottom in order to experience the bottom. You can't fake it. Like I'm not like that anymore. Now I'm doing all sorts of fake shit.
All right, so here's just a quick question on that. So, that's related to that. Does your day start when you take a shower or when you brush your teeth? Which one would that be?
Can I choose when I drink a cup of coffee?
So it's
oh,
like,
you mean
okay,
when you're homeless? You mean when you're homeless?
No. Just now. Now. And does it start officially when you brush your teeth or when you take a shower? Which one wakes you up more? Which one is like, okay, now I'm ready to go? Like if you're
The
not
second I
gonna shower,
become conscious, I start thinking about my kids.
Yeah.
I literally, my eyes pop open and I just want to go straight to my kid's bedroom and look at them and be like,
okay, remove the
yeah.
kids. Just remove the kids and answer the question.
After I pee. As soon as I get that first pee out, I'm like,
All right,
time to
anyway,
begin the day.
So did you brush your teeth when you were homeless? Did you take a shower when you were homeless? Like how homeless were you? Because those are real things.
Yeah. I didn't. I probably. So if I showered like at people's homes when they weren't there. At the gym. you know, like on campus at the campus gym. I swam a shitload in the ocean. I don't remember so much how I did that. And I definitely carried a toothbrush with me. I probably brushed my teeth without toothpaste. Like that was probably like my primary way. You know what I mean? Like anytime like I just went into a bathroom, but
How long were you
my
homeless?
2 years. Well, I was I was homeless for 2 years, and then I lived in a car for like 5 years after that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so 7 years, 7 years total. And during that time, you know, like I was living in a car and I made 3 shows for ESPN. I made commercials. I started making TV shows. I produced, directed 3 shows for ESPN that aired more than 300 times. I had a super popular public access show in Santa Barbara. I was I got a job after 2 years of being homeless at a home for disabled adults. I was just walking
So
by there, and I didn't wear shoes either. Like I was barefoot for 2 years. I never wore shoes once in 2 years. And
wow.
I got this job and I started making $7 an hour. And when you make $7 an hour and you don't have a home and you have no expenses and you know how to eat out of a dumpster and how to like I would come. Let's say me and you were in college, Kyle. I would come over. I would be your friend. I would have met you at the beach, right? You and your friends would have been there. You guys would have been drinking beer. I'd have played frisbee or throwing the football around with you. I'd end up coming back to your house. You guys would fall asleep. I'd do all your dishes and then I'd fall asleep on your couch and then I'd leave before you guys woke up to go to school in the morning. You know what I mean? And so like you do that to college kids, you just be cool, kind of invisible.
Hmm.
Then you would see me at the beach again. You're like, dude, come over, let's hang out, let's party, da da da. You know what I mean? You just you're low rent, you're low frequency. You don't tax. I don't tax your shit. I don't let like while you guys are eating pizza, come over and be like, hey, can I have a piece of pizza? No, none of that shit.
So
Low. You
did
only
your
contribute.
political
You only contribute.
are your political views, were they the same from when you were a homeless person to now?
I don't even think I had political views there, but I was raised as a hardcore liberal, peace, love, hippie. Fuck the country, fuck with the war machine, fuck the flag. God bless everyone. Don't God bless this country. But really, it was fucked up. It was wrong. I didn't have to be indoctrinated that way. There's a middle ground.
Hmm.
There's a just like, yeah, I was indoctrinated. And I'm sure my parents were indoctrinated. There doesn't have to be one or the um we don't live in a world of duality. You don't have to love your country or hate your country. You can just be open, right?
Hmm.
But in all fairness, I'm in a love your country mindset now. I've probably flipped over opposite of what I was taught. They don't even know they're teaching you that shit. I remember 5 or 10 years ago when I first saw a Black Lives Matter sign on a lawn in Berkeley, California. I was like, what the fuck is this? Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. Now, I lived in an all black neighborhood. I was the only white person from when I was 16 to when I was 18. A
In
fucking
California?
scary, yeah, in a scary motherfucking neighborhood. Yeah. It's just me and my dad and my stepmom were the only non blacks. Pimps, prostitutes, hustlers. I read everything I could on fucking black people.
Hmm.
Everything. From Malcolm X to anyway, I'm off the reservation now. But yeah, so I don't know if I had political beliefs when I was homeless. I don't know. I basically was just like I was a young man. I wanted to do good, and my only distraction was I liked girls, right?
Hmm.
So I just wanted to do good and be chill and get laid. So it was kind of like, and then uh, and then I
And that
got
was
into
your
video edit.
college.
Yeah, and then I got into video editing, and I hung out with a lot of good people, and I traveled the world doing a lot of good things. I worked for a company called Vitamin Angels. I went to probably 40 or 50 countries with them to places that most people couldn't handle. Like I saw famine, like real famine. That's like when people talk about food drought, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. There is no food drought in the United States. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. And I've been to every state in the United States except Alaska too. And I've been seeing some really, really bad shit, like shit that like stuff that makes people suicidal,
Hmm.
like children dying from starvation. I don't want to hear about your fucking food drought. That's more just arguing your limitations.
Yeah.
Tell people what they can do. Tell people that hey, start off with just eating hot dogs, hard cheese, and water. Get off the Doritos and Mountain Dew. It's a great first step. It's a great first step.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but the second they I like it's like the abortion thing. I don't think anyone should have it. I think people should be careful of a strong opinion on either side. It's two very, and I think you should be very suspicious of the fact that of the choices that are being given to you. I think you should be like, some people say you're killing a baby, some people say you're not killing a baby, some people saying you're taking women's rights, some people say you're not taking women's rights. But what other ways are there to think about it? And the example I gave the other day is if I told you, like, hey, do you want ice cream? And you're like, I don't know. And I go, well, the criteria is if it's a hot day, you want it. And if it's a cold day, you don't want it. I would say that's bullshit. That shouldn't be how you think about ice cream. But we're being forced on how to even think about these big topics. And like, it's just bullshit. It's like, we shouldn't be like this, the thing around the vaccine, like, we do it for the greater good. What, do it for the greater good? Do it for the greater good. That's fucking insanity. What if they gave every single person on the planet the vaccine? We would have no more control group. We would have no idea what what a human being would be like without it. I mean, it's just, no one's thinking. No one's like, how come no politician, I'm preaching to the choir, has said, show me the CrossFitters who've died. 1, 2, and they were obese. Show me the people who are not eating added sugar and refined carbohydrates who've died. Why is that an extreme lifestyle? I don't think it's an extreme lifestyle because I don't stick certain things in my mouth. I'm an extremist. That's fucking crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
Oh my God. Because I only eat meat, vegetables, nuts, seeds, blah, blah, blah. I'm an extremist because I don't go to Walmart is a fucking extreme. My iPhone is an extreme. I'm so stoked on it. This thing is fucking extreme.
Which one is that?
The 11.
Yeah.
I lost the 12 is the first one I didn't have. Like because I'm saving money. $80 to hire a professional skateboarder to train my kid. You can't be fucking around with the iPhone 12, Sevi.
No. Dude, I still have the iPhone 7, bro. You know why
Holy
I have the iPhone
shit.
7?
Why?
Ask me why I have the iPhone 7.
Why do you have the iPhone 7?
Because I don't need a new phone. It works just fine. But it takes photos, kind of. The storage is small, but small.
Don't you
small.
want to rationalize it as hey, I need a new phone so I can take better pictures of my kids? That's how I always rationalized it.
Yeah, there's that. There's that in there for increased social media, for better photos, kids, family, storage, all that stuff. But
what's your wife have?
She's got a Droid, man. We don't talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you text with your wife?
Barely.
Who are these droid people? Who are you? The UFC fighters that I've been interviewing, the vast majority of them are droid people. Who
Talk
are
about
you?
Extremists, right? What
Yes.
an extremist.
I think, the scary part is I think we're the tools. I suspect they've got us stuck together through this iMessage thing, right?
Right. Well, I used to have a Droid, and the reason I switched is because of the photos and the video capabilities with social media. So either way, she's a droider.
Your one rep snatch, 277 pounds at the games. Is that a PR, lifetime PR?
No, I tied that from 2017, and then I got 285 in training.
Wow, this year.
So yeah.
That's crazy. Do you ever look at the individuals and you're like, shit, I think I can do it?
Dudes, this is the thing is, that's like saying, like, when people ask me if I want to ever put football pads on again and play college football, it's like, dude, I want to put my college football pads on for one play, hit, tear my hamstring, get a concussion, and then leave. It's like, okay. But it's like, okay, it's not the individual competition that I don't want anymore. It's the preparation for individual competition that my life doesn't support anymore. And let's be honest, I can't. Even if I wanted to put the volume in, I don't know if I could. I mean, I put a lot of volume in still. I put a lot of volume in, and it's just a matter of how many weeks in a 12-week cycle that I have to chill out for a little bit, meaning just a deload week or just a lighter week. But
A dear friend of mine who's a really good CrossFitter, you know him also. He's not even 40 yet, and he said it would be he said he would die if he did his went back to his games level volume training. He said it's not
Right. It would
possible.
just,
Yeah,
no,
he
it's
said it would
not.
be.
But it's also something that's like, okay, well, if I come home, I'm not with my kids, I'm not with my family, I'm recovering, I'm doing late workouts, I'm waking. It's a completely different lifestyle. It doesn't support what I have now because if I did do that, everything else around me would go to crap. I wouldn't be there as much in the business. I wouldn't be there as much at home. And if I was at home, I wouldn't really be at home. I'd be somewhere else thinking about recovery or whatever. So. Yeah, the individual competition. I still look at the weights. I still look at that stuff. It's nice to see that. Strength doesn't go away very much. It holds on well. I mean, as you've probably experienced yourself, it just holds on really well. Even the high numbers like back squat, I'm still holding like a 500-pound back squat. I'm 39 years old, and I'm like,
Wow!
that's so
Holy
incredible. I love
shit!
it, and that's something I've been holding from college football all the way. So that's nice. I enjoy
Do you
that.
bench?
I, yeah,
Like, and do you bench for training or do you bench for fun? Like,
both.
both. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it makes my shoulders feel better. Like if I
Uh,
stop benching, my shoulders start getting a little cranky. And then bench is a
why is
fantastic
that? Is
upper.
that normal? Is that normal? Tell me more about that.
Yeah,
Is that normal?
yeah. I can't really give a good explanation on it because I don't really know myself. I think it's something to where typically coming out of a college sport like football and not being exposed to CrossFit yet, it didn't teach me a lot of how to maintenance myself. But getting into CrossFit and just learning about a whole bunch of different things, I tend to get more of a forward rounded shoulder posture, even like I am right now, just a little bit, and then bench will push it back in. It'll strengthen areas that I can't get in other exercises as much as I can with either a dumbbell bench or a barbell bench. It's a great exercise. It's fantastic. It's just the fact that global gym goers or just a traditional weightlifter going to the gym does bench every day or every other day for 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 years in a row, and then their posture's all jacked up. They're not doing it right, or they're doing too much of it. It's like, okay, maybe do something else besides just that. But yeah, I bench 2 to 3 times a week in different variations.
I just started benching again, and it's so interesting you say that because when I stopped benching a few years ago, my shoulders started hurting. I never even made that connection, but I started benching again. I don't know, like 2 months ago, and just for because I missed it. Like I just wanted
Hmm.
to like as a second workout, like during the like I wanted to be able to go in my garage and just do lazy workouts and turn on the TV or just hang out in there. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna set up a bench, and normally I just did a shitload of push-ups, but it's crazy how much I like it.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. And,
And
and
it
and
mixes good with other shit. Like you could do assault
yeah,
bike sprints and then be like, all right, I'm cool. I'm gonna go bench a little, and then like rest, and then go back to the assault bike and like or whatever.
right. Well,
It's
plus if
cool.
you're doing it correct, if you're correctly benching, you're packing the shoulders, pulling it down, and then pressing through it. So it's basically putting your shoulder where it should be. So then maybe you're walking around where your shoulders aren't supposed to be, forward and rounded. So anyway, no, I like bench. It's good.
Did you ever stop? Like during
No,
your whole CrossFit? No, you always did. And you had shoulder surgery.
yeah, back in 2014.
How bad does something have to get for you to do surgery?
Okay, so I had a 75% torn rotator cuff, 75%. So it was only on by 25%. I one rep maxed my snatch the day before just because I'm like, freaking screw it. I want to do it. It got bad. It was to the point where like I couldn't do any pressing, the muscle ups, the ring dips, things of that nature. But it has to get pretty bad because in this sport, of CrossFit, you can actually maintenance things pretty well. So the fact of the matter, if you're maintenance, if something gets sore, you can stretch it, you can smash it. And the fact that Kelly Starrett is, I mean, he really revolutionized how we can maintenance ourselves in CrossFit. I mean, way back when he just started doing these videos in his garage and on his driveway, and Now it's a whole different level, but just being able to maintenance yourself to where if something is sore, you can maintenance. If something is tight, you can maintenance, you can stretch it, you can smash it, you can do some corrective, you can work with someone. Um, but in the past, like 2009, I didn't know how to do that. Even in college football, I didn't really know how to do that stuff. But in order for me to seek out surgery or to seek out somebody, the pain has to get pretty unbearable. And it's not even the pain; it's the decreasing of volume, the decreasing of training, the restriction of being able to do other movements or programming that would get me to get there. So anyway,
Did you sleep at night? Sorry, so I could hear a noise in my room. Could you sleep at night?
no,
It was
no, it'd
that
wake me
bad.
up. It'd wake me up.
Yeah. I always wonder that because like I have, I have back pain and shoulder pain and I have all that shit, but I just kind of like deal with it. But I always wonder when people get surgery, I'm like, that shit must get really, really fucking bad. Like knee would be the craziest. Have you ever had knee pain? When people
Uh,
tell me about knee pain, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so scary. Or hip pain.
well, yeah, but it was also the point where it's like I still wanted to do this more, right? I wanted to do this more.
Oh,
I
right,
wanted to
right.
continue to compete at 100%. So it's like I could have just. The doctor was even like, yeah. I mean, if you're not a baseball player, or if you're not going on any sports, I'm like, well, I'm a CrossFitter, and I want to continue to compete. He's like, okay, well, yeah, that's definitely the thing, but just understand this is an elective surgery. It's not mandatory. I'm like, okay, well, it might be elective for you, but for me, this is a must to continue on with the competition career in CrossFit. So, but it wasn't. I could have. Let's just put it this way: it was a means to an end. It was going to have to happen either right then or in 20 years, and that's what we see that all the time in the gym too. And I'm sure a lot of CrossFit gym owners see that is where it's like the carpenters or the painters or the drywallers that they're all going to have shoulder issues at some point in their life or back issues. It's just a matter of can we help them now to prevent them from having a surgery and getting them moving and showing them some basic stretches or basic mobility that'll just help them improve their own lifestyle, improve their well-being, improve their daily enjoyment, and go from
And
there. So
did the surgery work?
yeah,
Sorry,
yes,
hold on
I'm
one second.
extremely
Sorry,
gratifying of that.
hold
I'm
on,
I'm thankful for it. It worked fantastic. I don't have any issues.
hold on one second. Hey,
Yep.
sorry.
Hey, they're fine.
I'm telling my wife, turn off the fucking TV in the house. I hear a TV. She's like, there's no TV on. I must be losing my mind. Um, yeah. So it did help. Okay, well that's good to hear. And does it made you more? Did it come back at 100%? Are you 100%?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It took
awesome.
time though. It took
God, I
time.
love hearing that. And work maintenance, but
What do you mean?
you're saying it took time, but did it also take
Oh,
maintenance? Like you have to take care of it
oh,
like differently, nurture it.
no, well, all right, the surgeon told me it was going to take 6 months to get back to 100%. And I was like, wait, like, what is your 100%, doc? Is it full range of motion and being in a good position and holding a certain amount of stability, strength? Because my 100% is being able to snatch 270 some pounds, do handstand walks, go on unstable surfaces like rings, and then hold myself up, press up, and then do that while fatigued. And so then he kind of retracted that statement a little bit once I started to educate him a little bit more. And to get to 100% of my 100%, it took a little over a year. Um, but it was great. I'm thankful that I made the decision when I did. Everything worked out, and it just took time in regards to all the little things over and over and over again. And rehab has changed so much. Um, from in the past, it was isolate, isolate. Now it's about movement, movement, movement while being in a
Mm.
stable position and seeking full range of motion before anything, because that's what CrossFit is too, right? Is moving things well. So moving things to full range of motion in a stable manner. It's like, well, this is just a form of prehab for everybody. It's prehabilitation. So it's like, okay, so why don't we just move in full range of motion well over and over and over again? And that will save a lot of people a lot of issues over time.
My wife had a knee surgery. The first time she had the knee surgery, they put this thing on her leg that basically makes it so you can't move your leg, and then every day you give yourself for every week a little more articulation in it. And after 2 months, she like lost all this range of motion. Then she had another knee surgery, and this time I was like, "Hey, we're not doing that this time." She goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Soon as the wound heals, we're taking that thing off, and we're only going to start working on full range of motion." So she did that, and then after 6 weeks, she went back to the doctor. It was at University of California, San Francisco. I put the boot thing back on her leg so the doctor would know that it's been off the whole time. And he takes it off, and he's like, "Show me your range of motion." And he's like, "Oh my god, I've been doing this surgery for 20 years. I've never seen a recovery like this." I'm like, "Yeah, motherfucker." And it's like what you said. Like these guys, because they're dealing with the lowest common denominator. I get what they're doing. They're dealing with fucking morons who can't
Right.
think. And it's
Right.
like this boot that they were putting on her leg that was supposed to protect her. All it was doing was robbing her of full range of motion. It would be it's like the people you see who don't they haven't sat on the ground in 20 years and now they can't sit on the ground. My dad told me one time, God, I shouldn't share this. I told my dad that I was abstaining from all ejaculation. This is in college, and I was like, and I'd gone like 2 months, and my dad goes, "Hey, dude, use it or lose it." And I remember thinking, oh, I'm gonna store that away in my head for a while. That didn't happen. I still ejaculate fine, but that's a scary one. Use it or lose it, and it could be true. It could be true. I mean, it's definitely true
Oh,
with
for
human
sure.
movement, right?
For sure. Absolutely. As soon as like, okay, so I'll take a break after games every year. And you start to feel things slowly just dissipate. Now, once I'm getting older, the fitness will slowly go away. It'll just slowly just drop just a little bit. And a lot of studies have supported that within 2 to 4 weeks, right, of aerobic capacity, or even just cardiovascular capacity in general, just breathing heavy. But I mean, if you want to lose your squat, stop squatting, right?
Mm.
If you want to lose your ability to do a handstand, stop handstanding or doing walking handstands of any sort. And as we're raising children, my daughter's 10 now. She's now doing a 50-foot handstand walk. I remember when I started doing handstand
Crazy.
walks. Dude, it's nuts, and it's so wild to watch too. She's been in gymnastics and she's like doing it with like good form, and it's like, okay, that's nuts, but it's also like, oh, that's like you're right on par where you should be of being able to get on your hands, support yourself well, and then move in a stable service or a stable manner, just like you've been taught in gymnastics. But yeah, fully 100% believed where if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Just from the stance of just my own experience after games, just with mobility or with fitness in general. But it is important for me to take some time off here and there. So
Are we gonna see you in 2022? Are you gonna do masters again?
yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know,
really?
man.
You don't? You really?
Yeah, every other year is like for sure yes. But my kids are 8 and 10, bro. Um,
Yeah.
select soccer, intermediate competitive wrestling, flag football, baseball, and my wife's business, Kinesis, going to a maturation phase now that we're like we're tapping into that older stage of a business.
Is your
And
son wrestling with Joe Westerland's son?
yeah, they're in the same club,
Dude, that is
Powerhouse.
awesome. So do you see Joe a lot?
Yeah, I see him a lot. We've stayed
Oh,
in
that's
touch well.
cool. Oh,
It
that's
is
so
cool, man.
cool.
We've
That's
known each
so
other
cool.
for 20 years now. We came in the same recruiting class in college football. We played together, and um, then he got hurt. Did a strength coach, and boom, we've stayed
Oh,
together
I
ever
didn't know
since.
that. I always a cheerleader, but he was actually on the team.
Well, he was a good cheerleader. He was a
Yeah,
really good
I
cheerleader.
know. I know he's a dope cheerleader, but I didn't realize he made it on the team. Wow, that is
Yeah, no,
awesome.
yeah. So
And now your son, is his son older than your son?
yes, he is 3 or 4 years older. So
I don't remember what the wrestling move his son did, but it was basically a move where basically like you're in a scrum with another kid. You guys are holding onto each other's necks or heads. And then his son
hmm
basically does this thing where he holds the other guy's neck and he flips to his back so that his opponent is forced to go to his back at the same time. So they both turn onto their backs at the same time. And my son is 6. And when he showed me that many years ago, I was like, holy shit, that is crazy that your son can do that. And he was just a little boy. He was like probably 7, 6, 7, 8 years old. How old is his son now? 12?
I think it's like 11 or 12. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a few years older than
So,
my daughter.
so about 2 months ago, my son's 6 and he practices jujitsu a lot. He's doing the martial arts 5 days a week, and I saw him do something called the loop choke. And I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically the same thing. You're basically you're grabbing someone by their neck. You're both standing up, but somehow you reach under their neck and grab their gi. And when you roll on your back, they have no choice but to roll with you, or they get choked. And then in the end, they get choked anyway. But it's so cool. I was so glad that Joe showed me that video of his son doing that. And he actually, it's at a tournament, and he actually yells at his son to do it, and his son fucking does it. Do you know what video I'm talking about? It's old.
No,
You've
but I
probably,
know I know what you're talking about because they go over those moves together.
yeah, it's cool. God, how cool is wrestling? Did you wrestle?
It's awesome. Yep, yep. It
But
taught me a
but
lot.
but you ended up doing football instead of wrestling.
Yeah, so I did fairly well in wrestling in high school, but then I got recruited for both, and I saw success in football as well, and decided to go the football route. And I'm grateful for it. I'm very grateful for the experience in wrestling in high school. It was a lot of fun. Taught me a lot, but it also allowed me to harness that energy into something like two people walk on the mat. One person walks off, winner. The other one's a loser. You accept the loss, and you move on. So,
How tall are you?
um, 5'8",
And how much do you weigh?
190.
Do you think you could? What's the lightest you could get? Do you think you could get to 175?
Dude, I could stop training and get to 165.
Oh no shit!
If I stopped lifting and I stopped working out, I would lose muscle. And that's one thing that we all
Like
want to
kind of like
keep as
Jacob and
much muscle.
Josh, like kind of like Jacob and Josh did when they started prepping for that boxing match. I think they were both surprised how quickly they lost muscle
Yeah,
when they started
yeah,
prepping for fighting.
absolutely. Absolutely. But just not even doing extra conditioning, I could just stop lifting and I'd lose that muscle right there. And then, okay, we'll flip it over and prepare for a boxing match. You're going to lose weight even more. What weight did they fight at?
I can't remember. I think Jacob weighed 18 pounds more than him. Like they didn't choose like a weight. I think it was more. I think it was more like on the honor system. Like, hey, try to come in light, for Jacob. And I don't think Josh meant to drop to 165, but I think he did, or 164 or whatever he
Hmm.
was. But I think basically he was saying. So basically, what you're saying is if you started training to be a triathlete, you could get down to 165
Yeah.
if you just started doing. But even if you didn't, you're just saying just stop the weight. Because when I was going through your Instagram, you know who you remind me of? Do you watch UFC?
hmm
Have you ever met Michael Chandler?
No.
Oh, do you know who he is?
No. Why don't I know that name?
He's kind of new. I mean, he's a superstar. He came from Bellator at 155, and he was like the guy there. And then he came to the UFC a few months ago, and he fought, or maybe it's been a year now. He fought. He was supposed to. He beat up Dan Hooker like in 30 seconds, like the first round,
Mm.
and then he fought for the belt against Oliveira. And that's the 155 class, super popular class. That's the one Conor McGregor's in, Dustin Poirier's in, Justin Gaethje's in. But anyway, you could be Michael Chandler's brother. You guys could, so he could be your younger brother. It's crazy.
Hmm. He
Yeah,
sounds
look
like
him
a
up.
heck of a guy. I'll have to
Yeah,
look him
great
up.
guy. Yeah, great guy. It's kind of funny if he's kind of like I would never say that you and Josh Bridges could be brothers, but this guy could be brothers with Josh Bridges too. So like he's somewhere he's like a hybrid version of the two of you guys,
Hmm.
the way you guys look. Well, thank you. 2 hours and 12 minutes. Someone said in the comments, great job interviewing Sevan for the last 30 minutes, Kyle. I can't tell if that's a dig at me for talking too much, but
Oh, I love it. Oh, good stuff. I like hearing
uh,
people's stories, man. I love it.
you're a real coach. How many classes a week are you teaching?
Let's see here. I think like 5 or 6.
And do your
Five.
kids see you do that?
Hmm. Part
Yeah,
of it. Yep.
that's awesome. Can you imagine how good that is for your kids to see you standing in front of a room, commanding people's attention and sharing knowledge?
Well,
Dude,
I hope they can see that it's okay to talk in front of people. Public speaking being one of the most feared things out there, and the majority of people don't tackle their fears. They don't take on their fears. They run from their fears or let their fears overtake them.
right.
So I just hope that they can see that a little bit, and maybe we'll practice it with them.
My dad owned a wine and cheese store. My dad's the immigrant success story, right? Comes from nothing, raised with no power, no electricity, no running water, all that shit, and came to this country and became a successful businessman, working 365 days a year, fucking 18-hour days, running a wine and cheese store. Your typical Middle Eastern success story, just
Awesome.
right out of the textbook. Come here as a fucking Armenian and sell wine and cheese.
Just
Anyway,
crush it. Just
yeah,
crush
crush
it.
it. Just work your ass off. Yeah, and so I used to go to work with him on the week. Like 4 years old to 12 years old, I started working the register. It's learned how I learned how to add and subtract. It's learned how I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to smile, to open a paper bag and stick their cheese and wine in a bag,
Hmm.
walk them to their car. Anyway, it's huge for kids to see that. It would be so awesome. I don't even I should make my kids watch me do the podcast. They're like, fuck you. All right, Kyle. Thank you for everything. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you. It's been a lot of fun, to be honest. I really
Good.
have had a good time.
Slap Joe on the ass for me.
Okay, so wait a second. Is it like a quick slap, or
Yes.
can I pause for a second? Is
You,
that
if,
as long as I
um,
say good game, everything's okay. Oh man, thank you so
and that,
much. It's been a lot of fun.
and that's how it